You damn right. Hope everybody's having a good February. It's almost gone, kids. If you've got things to do in February, you only have you don't even have a week. We have 4 days left, something like that. Chad and Zay with you on this Friday. Stay tuned. Before we get into this NFL discussion, I will tell you a story that makes me, well, frankly, look like a dumb Aggie. So pay attention. It's coming. I am joined, as always, by Isaiah Collier. I would never call him a dumb Longhorn. What's up, Zay?
Chad, what's poppin', man? I am so hype. I am fasting myself because I will be at Salt Lake tomorrow night.
You?
With the fam.
Uh-oh.
So it's going down, one of my favorite places in the ATX. Whether you go to the Round Rock one or Driftwood, one of my favorite places. Great barbecue. Can't wait.
All right, so which location y'all hitting?
I'm not going to say because I don't want people to harass me and my family.
Fair enough.
So just know I'm hitting the Salt Lake.
Fair enough. Yeah. Come on. How many guys are going to be sitting at the Salt Lick this weekend wearing a neck pillow and talking as loud as you will? I think they'll know.
Yeah.
I think they'll know.
I'll be in disguise. I will be without the neck pillow.
That is nice. All right, so
I'll be quiet too.
let's make everybody hungry. You have a go-to at Salt Lick, something you got to get every time?
Burn ends. I need the burn ends. Yeah.
Okay.
I need that for sure.
And so the BYOB part doesn't matter to you. You don't drink.
Nah. It
So
don't matter.
what's your barbecue beverage? Lemonade guy? Just leave it at water? What do you do?
Nice cold lemonade.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Just keep it country.
That is good in country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it don't have enough sugar in there, I don't mind putting some extra sugar. I don't mind.
Now that's country. Oh, man, I had relatives through the years that's what they would do, whether it was tea or lemonade. If you didn't have the extra sugar nearby, they weren't going to show up.
Yeah. That's just true Texan-ish.
Got to have it.
That's all it is.
You got to have it. And when I was a little kid, I thought one of the fanciest things in the world was a ice-cold can of Country Time lemonade.
Yo.
Dude, that was high cotton to me. I was ready to roll with Country Time.
Ain't nothing like some good country time.
If you're getting a little barbecue and lemonade this weekend, that is a good plan. Zay just told you where he's heading. If you want to give a barbecue place a shout out, we'll be glad to do that. Specs text line 337-3776. Just real quick, an Aggie joke that kind of writes itself. Yesterday, Zay, I was on the computer here in the studio at the station dealing with some promos for shows, putting promos in, making sure they were scheduled right or whatever. I scheduled a promo to end on February 31st.
Yeah.
I literally did that. My brain didn't even think for a sec. I want this to go about a week. So 24, 31, that's 7, right? Boom, bada boom. And thank God the computer was smart enough to go, no, idiot. And so that made it March 2nd or 3rd, whatever the equivalent day was. But I really felt stupid when I realized what
It happens. You got a lot going on. It happens.
My God. So there it is. I don't know if that's the Aggie or the old man or whatever, but there was a lot going on there. So hopefully that makes everybody smile, because sometimes the oldness of others or the weirdness of others can make you a little bit happy. All right, it is Friday. We're going into another big sports weekend. You got the second half of the NBA season cranked up. We're going to get into some of that. Obviously, if you are a Longhorn fan and you love basketball, you got two teams primed for what might be a really special run. And this weekend, I feel like you got a hell of a litmus test for both. Both on the road, both at nasty, crazy environments that can't stand them. And we'll get into the men at Baylor at 12:30. Zay will get you the right call segment. Men at Baylor, women at Oklahoma this weekend. Both fighting to stay in the first place discussion and see if they can get the highest seeding possible for the tournament. This is I think a big weekend, Zay, for your Longhorns, both versions in basketball, to prove they can truly be in that kind of discussion.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about the men at 12:30. But for the women, you got to stop Taylor Robinson, all-time leader, 3-point shots, big country. That's why I call her. She country as hell. She's from the grime of Oklahoma, for real. And all she did was grow up shooting at a farm, wherever she's from, and she could light it up. So
one of those Larry Bird goals?
Yeah.
Out there,
nailed, like French lick type stuff.
Nailed to the barn?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay.
That's how you know her jumper's pure. So you know me, Chad. If I talk about Oklahoma person, you better show me something. and she can light it up.
Okay.
I'll give her props. She country as hell, but she can light it up.
You know you're a country basketball player when you have to clear the cow patties or the pig poop or something like that before you start shooting. That's how you know you're country out there. So there's basketball to get into. There's always football to get into. We got some cowboy stuff and some other things, more soap opera around the NFL to get into. Zay, we were going to start, and we'll get to Russell Wilson. I feel like we need to start with this CeeDee Lamb thing.
Okay.
I feel like we need to just let people know kind of what's happening. You let me know a few minutes ago, and you showed me a pretty wild image. Also, Cowboys fans, we have the coaching staff has been announced for 2023. We will get into that, but CeeDee Lamb, was this last night he released a picture? Or?
Yeah, yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I've never seen a picture exactly like this. I've seen plenty of pictures of somebody showing off their tattoo. That's normal. I've seen that. Haven't quite seen this. So CeeDee Lamb tweets out a picture of him on the tat chair, in the tattoo chair. Right?
Yeah, like the table.
And they are working on his back. And I say they because it's required. There's more than one person dealing with this. Have you been able to count how many people were working on him at that moment?
1, 2, 3, 4. Just 4. So there's 8 hands.
8 hands.
8 hands, 4 needles, and then I've never been tattooed before, but you gotta have the towel to like wipe the smear off.
Okay, so maybe there's somebody's just doing the towel part. Somebody's just doing.
They each doing it.
They're each doing their own deal.
Yeah, they're each doing their own deal.
Wow.
And they're each doing a section of his back.
Okay, so if you are,
I just retweeted it, by the way. Ain't that _ Zay John Matoya from The Athletic for covering the Dallas Cowboys. He posted it, but yeah, it's a crazy photo.
That is wild. Yeah, I'll go ahead and retweet that as well. Zay is at ain't that _ Zay. I'm at C Hastings 1049 at the Horn ATX for the station. But yeah, that is first off just that many. Okay, yeah, you're right. See, for some reason I was making it out to be more people, but still,
yeah, you like it was octopus or something. 4
people at once to me does feel like a lot. If you are a tattoo person, let us know. Is this a normal thing? Is this high-level tattoo world? Or is this something where, because of the complexity of what he's getting, is this what you do at the badass tattoo parlors to save everybody time?
Well, you have to have serious paper to do this in the first place.
Right.
You know, tattoos ain't cheap. And to get the ink that he got on his back, serious bread went into this. And he probably only gets the best tattoo artists to work on him. So, yeah, this makes sense for everybody. I mean, it cuts time. He got everything he did done. I guess he's not bleeding like crazy. And if you look at his back, Chad, he has a huge picture of Kobe on the top right with like a snake, mamba snake, kind of going over Kobe's shoulder. That's dope.
That detail's incredible.
It's insane.
It really is something. If you enjoy a great tattoo and the artwork of it, go check this out. Go search this
Kobe
picture
like
out.
Biting the jersey, which he used to do that all the time.
Yeah, a very specific Kobe moment there.
And then right beneath that, he has a crown that's crazy detailed. The I-45 sign, because we know CD is from, where is he from? He's from Texas, right?
He is CeeDee Lamb. That's a good, I'm trying to remember where he's from. Yeah, so that would be a reference to 45 to the Houston area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Houston to Dallas. That's how you get
Well,
to Dallas.
Born in Louisiana.
Yeah, but he played
Yeah.
football in high school in Texas.
Yeah.
I just forgot where.
Born in Kansas, born in Louisiana, lived in New Orleans, evacuated. Yeah, it's a Houston. Yeah, it's a Houston. Randolph Foster High School, Richmond.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a reference to that area. It's incredible. It's just an incredible tattoo. You mentioned the cross in the middle, or I guess that would be a crucifix in the middle.
Yeah, crucifix.
Then you've got what did you mention that Spartan helmet? Lower
I did
left?
not mention that.
Dude, that is incredible detail. So CeeDee Lamb has a badass tattoo to let everybody see. Somebody texted in, then you can't see it. Yeah, that's true. I've always been fascinated by the truly those incredible tattoos that the person they can't see. The back tattoo and
people
stuff.
don't see it because when people get tattoos, they show it off.
Oh, they do.
He's going to be taking his shirt off for no reason.
Oof.
We're going to see a lot of CeeDee Lamb videos of him working out this summer with his shirt off.
I'd burn every shirt I have except my jersey.
Yeah.
I would get rid of everything else, man. For the amount of money he probably spent on this, that is remarkable. So CeeDee Lamb all tatted up, and now, thanks to the reporting that's come out in the last little while, we know who the coaches are going to be for CeeDee Lamb. We've got all of that, and we'll give a shout-out to Jane Slater of the NFL Network.
Jane.
Formerly of LHN back in the day.
She's a Texas alum, ain't she?
She is a Texas alum.
Represent Jane.
I believe that is true. And she she threw out the list of the Cowboys coaching staff for 2023. So Mike McCarthy and the coaching staff. We already knew offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer. That's going to be a bit of a technicality. He will help Mike McCarthy, but they've already said Mike McCarthy will call plays. And some of the other stuff I was interested in is we know they needed a running backs coach. Zay, running games coordinator, running backs coach Jeff Blasco. Going to have to look up Jeff Blasco and find out who he is. I'm not familiar with the name. And then the quarterbacks coach was kind of interesting to me. I know the name. I don't know how much coaching he's done. Scott Tolzien. I remember the name.
Yeah. So Blasco was with Big Mike at Green Bay 2016 through 2018.
Okay.
So that's where the familiarity is with that one.
So he's going back to the old school there. And then there's the name that I feel like is being used to troll me as a Cowboys fan, where the quality control / assistant D-line coach is Sharif Floyd. Wait a minute. That's Sharif Floyd? Like the guy I wanted him to draft that year when he was their, number 5 rated player on their whole draft board, and he was staring at him at number 18 and they didn't take him? That Sharif Floyd? I know Cowboys fans. They ended up with Travis Frederick, and it was certainly not a bad choice. But that guy, I'm just making sure I've got my Sharif Floyds straight. I can't imagine there's a whole lot of them out there, especially that are associated with D-line, but that guy is going to be on the staff. Of course, Dan Quinn back is the D coordinator, and so this is making the rounds today, and I'll go ahead and retweet this as well. So if you haven't seen it, you can check that out today as the Cowboys get ready for 2023, and yeah, I'm concerned, Zay, I'm always concerned for the Cowboys on whatever the levels are. Mike McCarthy calling plays has a certain level of concern, but also just who does he get together? Who does he get around Dak Prescott and around this offense to move it forward? There's just a lot of questions to answer, and this is not a team, and maybe this is why I get a little sensitive to some of these guys being brash and bold and really confident right now about them being in a Super Bowl discussion. I feel like they kind of have to take a couple steps back here because they're resetting a lot of things on offense.
They definitely are. You know, you talk about a guy who threw 17 interceptions this year, league leading, and you're probably going to let his security blanket go in Dalton Schultz. So, yeah, a lot of questions are going to need to be answered. What are you going to do with Tony Pollard? Most likely they're going to franchise tag him, and he's coming off that injury. So, he's not just going to come back 100%. It's going to take him some weeks to really get going. So I think this is kind of a make or break year. You know, we said last year they wouldn't be able to keep Dan Quinn, Big Mike, Dak, and Kellen Moore. We saw Kellen Moore was the one that had to go. This year, it's those three. One of those three won't be there next year if the Cowboys don't win the championship, which I don't think that's going to happen. Who knows? And, a lot of stuff could happen, but still, I don't think the Cowboys are going to win a championship next season.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of that is going to go on what happens when they don't. Will that be Big Mike's fault? I don't think it's going to be the defense's fault, even though I do think they might take a step back. Who knows what they're going to do with Leighton Vander Esch and the situation he has there. We know they got to pay a lot of big-time players very soon.
Yep.
Trayvon Diggs, Micah Parsons. Do they want to get to that early before, guys start sitting out due to them not getting money? It's a lot of questions gonna need to be answered this year. But when you're in the same division as the team that went to the Super Bowl, it's gonna be tough no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't care if they lose both of their coordinators on the Eagles side, they're still gonna come back. Like, Jalen Hurts is the type of guy, like we saw last year, losing to the Buccaneers, and he said, "You know what? I'm gonna go back and train and do whatever it takes to not be this bad." He's the type of guy to say, "That Super Bowl loss, I'm using that as fuel too, and I'm not gonna have that natural Super Bowl lapse that most teams do when they don't win it the next season." Which the Bengals, they technically didn't, but they didn't make it back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so tough to do.
It's so tough to do. And if I could see anybody going back next year, it's Jalen Hurts.
I'm glad you reminded me that the Eagles are losing both coordinators. That does make me feel a little better.
That's a big deal.
And it is. They're going to have to reset a lot of things there on the offensive side too. But right now, the plus side of Jalen Hurts feels a little better probably to a fan base than right now the plus side of Dak Prescott.
Easily.
It's just, it feels a little different right now. And maybe I should have said that the other way. It's the downside that feels better. When Jalen Hurts goes bad, I think the Eagles fans are a lot more comfortable with that than us Cowboy fans are of when Dak goes bad. Because when he goes bad, oof.
Yeah, because when the Eagles have Jalen Hurts go bad, they could say, all right, well, we have a three-headed monster and Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, and Boston Scott. We can hand the ball to them. Plus, Jalen Hurts going bad, that might be through the air. That's probably not on the ground. He's probably doing what he normally does with his legs. And Dak, especially since the leg injury, he ain't that same guy that's going to take off and run like I think he should. He should do it more, but, hey, I haven't snapped my leg backwards either. If I did that, I probably wouldn't be running much at all. So, but still, do you want to win a championship or not?
Yeah. All right, Zay. I didn't want to look it up at first, but I just found Scott Tolzien's coaching career. You ready? Scott Tolzien went to Wisconsin, if y'all don't know. He was undrafted in 2011. Niners, Packers, Colts in his career, backup, throughout. As a coach, analyst for Wisconsin in 2019, Cowboys coaching assistant 2020 through 2022, Cowboys quarterback coach 2023 to the present.
Yeah. What's the problem? Why are you scratching your chin for? I don't see no problem there.
I don't see a lot of things there.
Wisdom.
I don't see a lot of much there. So, okay, there you go. Cowboys fans, they just went from the guy that Dak beat out. They were buddies. One of the next great minds in the league. They went with him for an offensive coordinator, and he actually called the plays. This is now and he was the quarterback's coach as well. Now, this is the quarterback's coach. He will not call plays or anything, but this is the guy that's supposed to be giving Dak Prescott all of the help. There
what we notice in the NFL, which could get you got and just ruin your whole team, when you just hire guys because they're your friend or they were yes men with you at your last stop.
Right.
Sometimes that's not the best formula for success.
Yeah, they just happen to be in the building.
Man,
I joked with you as we were coming on air, and when you sent me this list, I said, let me guess, the quarterback coach is Danny White. I mean, I was just kind of joking,
right.
But, Leon Lett just left a job. Mark Colombo was like the assistant offensive line coach, because of course he was. And this one just feels like that. When I saw Scott Tolzien's name, I was hoping I was wrong about who I was thinking of. It's like, I think that's a career backup in the NFL, and I don't remember him coaching anywhere. Guess what? He really hasn't. He hasn't done much. Dude started coaching 3 years ago, and he's your quarterback's coach now. He's the guy that's supposed to be helping Dak Prescott.
Like, he was the backup for Aaron Rodgers.
All right. And maybe that's what it is. That I think it's another connection to McCarthy,
It's another
right?
connection. He's backup to Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, so I guess if you're a Cowboys fan.
From 2013 to 2016.
You got to back off. You got to try to trust McCarthy. He's going to call plays, and he thinks Tolzien can help with Dak Prescott. All right. It is. I think it's a better idea than a quarterback he literally competed with in the quarterback room. I thought that was dumb. To have a guy that you literally were on the same level. You were in the room with him and everything, and now he's your quarterback's coach, and now he's your offensive coordinator?
Yeah.
That was weird to me.
So what's Tolzien gonna tell Dak? Like, yo, I saw Aaron just like lock himself in the closet for about 5 minutes every day. We need to get you on something like that.
Uh,
Like, man, like what was it like? Because Dak's gonna ask, what was it like
Yeah.
being in the quarterback room with Aaron Rodgers? Like, how did he go through things? And Tolzien wasn't a good coach. He wouldn't say nothing, but he's trying to be a good coach. He's gonna try to give you all the game that he saw from Aaron Rodgers
uh-huh.
to Dak Prescott. So if you look at that as a Cowboys fan and say, maybe there's some positive there, cool. If you look at it from my standpoint and say, Dak ain't no Aaron Rodgers, I don't give a damn what you tell him, especially at this point of his career,
Yeah.
and you still got to add a lot of weapons around him, it don't matter. It don't matter where you put or what kind of drugs you give Dak Prescott that are similar to Aaron Rodgers and what he takes. That don't matter. They're trying to do it.
They are.
They're
All
really
right.
trying to do it. It's like Jerry Jones is like, this is the guy that made Aaron Rodgers successful. And we're trying to do everything to get Dak to be that.
You just wait till somebody in the media asks Aaron Rodgers how important Scott Tolzien was in his development, and then just stand back and wait for that answer. Brace yourself, Cowboys fans. That's on the way at some point.
Yeah. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I knew my job was secure.
Yeah.
I know that.
Coach Tolzien, what do we need to do with Dak? Do these lights have dimmer switches on them? We need to make it as dark as possible in here, man. We're going to go full Aaron Rodgers on this bad boy. All right. Coming up, we will transition to some basketball talk. We do have some NFL drama to talk about at some point because Russell Wilson is making news for all the wrong reasons in the last couple days, and he is refuting this story that is out there. We'll get to that. Up next, though, Zay's going to break down Texas and Baylor. They're in Waco tomorrow. The Right Call segment is coming up, and coming up at 12:45 in the crap bag. Oh, we got to hit XFL Week 2. As one of our listeners texted us, you never want to leave time on the clock for Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, or the XFL's A.J. McCarron.
Don't make me walk out of here, please.
They did text LOL right at the end of that,
don't
though.
make me walk right out of here and leave Chad by himself.
The most important thing in the XFL this week is that two of the Texas teams are getting together. We'll talk about that, too. Stay with us. This is The Horn. All right, this is Chad talking Apple leasing. A lot of little details I love about my new car with Apple leasing. One of them is I get better gas mileage, but I also get a little more out of the tank itself. So it's a little more advanced car in terms of letting me know how far I've got to go. So I'm able to get a little further down the road than I was with my last car. That was one of the things I needed with Apple leasing, and they were able to get that for me. That's part of the great thing about their process. When you call them up at 346-9977, you let them know if that part of it is important to you. Is that critical? Or is just straight up, color or 2 or 4 door, or I want this, that. Because of the trip I have every day, a little bit of a commute, I needed to worry about those things, and they were able to help me there. So if you're into the gas mileage part of it, trust me, they can help take care of you there. Call 346-9977. It is the easiest and safest way to get a new car. They'll go find all the different options for you. They'll bring them back to you. They'll deliver it right to your driveway like they did for me if you need them to do that. Plus, all of the rebates, all the holiday sales that may be going on, all the different things that are happening in the automotive world, they can get you all those discounts and incentives that the dealers get. They'll pass those savings right on to you. Call 346-9977 or check them out at appleleasing.com.
Chad and Zay.
All right, getting started on this Friday. Hope you're having a great start to your weekend. Going to be good weather over the weekend. A lot of stuff going on in the world of sports. Zay, I do not have this one. Did you go to the 70s again to get me?
I don't know where I went at 9:30 this morning. The great Hall of Famer Craig Way texted me and said, Zay, throw this out to Chad today. It's a Yacht Rock classic.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see if he could get it or not.
Yeah.
I go, I got you, Craig.
Yep.
Obviously, you didn't get it.
Definitely out of the time frame and doesn't sound like something I would have been interested in back in the day. What do we got?
Little River Band.
Little River Band. Yeah.
Help is on its way.
I have heard of the Little River Band, but I have not listened to a lot of them. All right, Little River Band getting us started today. Shout out to all of you for listening. We appreciate that. Now, yesterday, speaking of music, if you missed, if you missed the discussion where Zay gave Hysteria by Def Leppard an A grade, you can go back and check it out on the YouTube page, youtube.com/@thehornaustin. We want to thank each and every one of our 748 subscribers. Help us get up to 800 if you like. And that album swap discussion with ODB and Def Leppard is up there. The golf tour of Central Texas with Aaron and the crew hanging at Mo Willie. You can check that out. And if you have not heard the full version of Isaiah's rip on A.J. McCarron, that's on there too, if you want to check it out, among other things. Lots of good videos and stuff there on the YouTube page. All right, speaking of Zay, we got to get into some basketball talk right now. We mentioned it. Both men's and women's teams at Texas are in first-place battles and discussions and trying to get really high seeds. Is it going to be a 2 seed? Could it even be a 1 seed kind of a season? And, of course, if both of them could get to the Final Four, they're going to be – well, you could just go, I guess, I-45. We were just talking about I-45 with CeeDee Lamb. You could I-45 between those two locations since the men are in Houston, women are in Dallas. Let's get to that right call segment, Zay. Texas at the Farrell Center.
Good looking out, Chad. The right call segment is brought to you by SyntexTickets.com. Brought to you by Syntex Tickets, Go to syntextickets.com for your concert, theater, and stand-up tickets, and also your sports tickets. I know a lot of people have gotten their tickets to Texas basketball games, men and women, on syntextickets.com. You hear Bucky Gobble all the time. Hey, Shelby, get them to me. Get them to me quick. And yeah, Chad, huge game tomorrow night at the Farrell Center. You know what popular movie is being talked about right now that's about to come out if it hasn't came out already? Cocaine Bear.
Yes.
Cocaine Bear, where the bear just, I guess, ingests a huge amount of cocaine and goes crazy and just, terrorizes everybody in the woods. I hear Jeff Howe and Craig talking about it all the time.
That is the premise. My wife and I are going to go see it.
Yeah. You're going to maybe see some amped up cocaine-style bears tomorrow at the Farrell Center. If you can catch my drift.
Right.
Because they're going to be pissed off. They were horrible on their Kansas road trip at Allen Fieldhouse, where they were these guys were up by 13.
Oof. God, I remember that game.
Yeah. Going into halftime. 45-32. They were up. And then all of a sudden, Kansas goes on a huge run, and they end up losing the second half 55-26. Scott Drew's out here joking with Holly Rowe and stuff like that, and it's just didn't look like they were locked in for the full game, obviously. I don't know if Bill Self and that crew went into halftime and gave him that film. We know Coach Terry likes to go review the film at halftime. I don't know if somebody on this is say, hey, Scott Drew ain't taking us seriously, and show this team that.
Bill Self threatened to fire like 8 people. Y'all better give me a cut up of something I can use now.
Yeah. Scott Drew thinking y'all a joke. And then they end up losing that game. So a couple of nights ago, they were at Kansas State. They were up by 3 at halftime. End up losing the next half, 44-31, end up losing that game by 10. So they really struggled, which kind of knocked them out of the Big 12 race to win it. Right now they're tied with Kansas State for third place. So this Baylor squad, they're going to be a little pissed off tomorrow. And the first time the Horns saw them, where the Horns won 76-71, Baylor didn't have Jonathan. Let me get this right, Craig. We went over it.
Come on.
Chachua. My bad, brother. I'm sorry.
I think you said the second one.
Yeah.
Isn't it Chachua?
No, Craig was saying chat. Like a chat.
Yeah,
okay. A chat.
Chachua.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
If you go try to look over it, everybody's getting it wrong.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, I bet you folks at Baylor still get it wrong in Waco. It's a tough one.
Both the middle name and the last name start with TCHA.
Yeah.
Cha-cha.
Yo, and I can't be
That's
had.
tough.
I know if I go back and look at my Ancestry.com, I probably have some crazy-ass African name, too, that I can't pronounce. But, hey, That's a different story. So the Horns didn't see him in that first matchup, and he's huge for their team.
He's only played 6 games.
Yeah. Do you remember last year, he broke his leg?
Yeah.
Like, very serious.
Yeah.
Just cringe injury when the Horns went to the Farrell Center last year and Chris Beard lost his absolute mind, and that was the last we saw of Trey Mitchell.
That game.
That game.
Gotcha.
So now that he's back, he's kind of a leader / X factor for them. They still have Flo Thamba, but at the end of the day, it's their 3 guards for them: LJ Cryer, Keontae George, and Adam Flagler. All those guys, they have to be clicking for them if they want to make a deep run in March. And in that first appearance where the Bears were here at the Mood, Chad, Tyrese Hunter had one of his better games this year. He did. He had a very solid game. He had around 15 points, and Marcus Carr's the one that struggled. He had just about 5. So Timmy Allen was really good with 18, and then Serge Rice had one of his key games, had 21 points. So this is a very pissed off Baylor team. They're going to come in with a lot of energy, and if you're Texas right now with chasing Kansas, 3 games left, this is one of those games that I'm a little nervous about because I know how good Baylor can be. I know they're mad at their losses at Kansas. And I know they're mad that Texas beat them by the 5 points that they got them. So
yeah, there are a lot of ingredients I think that should make you nervous in this one.
Yeah,
it's just there's a lot coming together. You almost wish, as a Texas fan, that Baylor could have found one of those last 2.
Yeah, right.
Just so you're not having to deal with full anger. They already hate you that much. They already love to beat you that much. It's their place, packed in on a Saturday, dude. It's gonna be insane. And we've seen this Texas team start in a sluggish, get sluggish starts on the road. I'd be concerned about that if I'm a Texas fan. I need it to be, if I'm a Texas fan, I would love for it to be 8 or less at the half. That'd be my goal right now. You make this thing a game at the half. Don't let that crowd go completely insane. But you can't, I don't think you could climb back out of a 13, a 15, a 17-point deficit and that big long stretch of not scoring. They can't do that this time.
Yeah, they're so hard to guard because if you trap them coming off that high ball screen, which Scott Drew loves to run with all 3 of those guards, Cryer, Flagler, and George, then that leaves those other guards open for hockey passes. So you throw it to the big because you're getting trapped. He's setting the screen for you, and they trap the man that has the ball. So the big's probably the first one to get it. You step up on the big. Now you might be leaving one of those 3 guards open for a 3, and you can't let them get hot because they're going to be pulling that thing tomorrow.
Yes, they are.
They're going to be pulling it. And what you want Jalen Bridges and Chachua. and Flo Thamba. You want those guys to get the ball and try to work. That's how the Horns can have success. You want to get the ball out of the guards' hands because they look for their shot like crazy. Like Keontae George is a pit bull. And
he's a great player.
He's such a good player. Him, his shot selection can be a little bad at times, which we saw when the Bears came to the Mood. He had that 38-foot 3 to try to tie the game real early. When they got the ball, there was probably 20-some seconds left.
I remember
and
that.
He pulled it. And everybody was like, wow, that's a crazy shot, which I don't think it's that bad of a shot because I thought Coach Terry would have fouled him and would have forced them on the free throw line. They needed a 3, so he shot it quick. I get that, but yeah, those guards, they're terrifying. But what you like and what you saw against Iowa State, you saw Tyrese Hunter have a good game. Sir'Jabari Rice, Marcus Carr. Those 3 guards versus our 3 guards, that's a hell of a matchup. And if you get Arterio Morris to do what he did coming in the first half at Iowa State, those quick 8 points, crossing guys over, making people jump in the stands, hitting threes and stuff, then now, you don't have to worry about Hunter, Carr, and Rice getting tired because they're exerting their energy guarding George, Flagler, and Cryer, which that's what happens to a lot of teams, just chasing those guys around. Yeah. That's a lot. So Timmy Allen, the bigs have to be better than their bigs. They have to. Dylan DeSue, Timmy Allen, throw him in there. Brock has to continue to do what he does. Christian Bishop, all 4 of those guys, they have to outplay Bridges and Chachua and Thamba. They have to outplay those guys just because of the pressure Baylor puts on you with their guards.
By the way, the best thing to me about Tchamwa Chachua is that his first name's Jonathan. I do love that part of it. God, that's awesome.
How'd they get that?
That is so great. Yeah, let's see how Texas responds tomorrow. They certainly responded when Iowa State hit them with a little physicality early, and Texas just mashed them from there. If they do that in Waco, they'll be fine. Tough to do it in Waco, though. And you wouldn't imagine a Scott Drew team is going to lose 3 in a row. That's the other thing. They just there's a lot of things coming together for Texas that doesn't look great for them right now, but they also did look great against Iowa State. Huge road win out to try to get here.
Yeah, one more thing, Chad. Dylan Mitchell still has to keep playing. We're still going to need him. Again, even though he starts, we can't just be starting him for no reason. He has to give you more.
How about Morris? You want to see a little more?
I mean, yeah, but what he gave us against Iowa State, that's enough.
That's what you want.
That's enough.
An effective 8 minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's enough. If he could do that, play good D, don't turn the ball over, don't go hunting. Let the game come to you.
Give him 10 minutes where Baylor fans turn to each other and go, that guy's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what you want.
And Dylan Mitchell, he had that alley-oop against Iowa State, but he's just so athletic. You just need him to keep coming along because you need that 9-man rotation to be 9 instead of 8.
All right, there's your right call segment. We do it at 12:30 each and every show when we are leading up to a Texas basketball game. Texas and Baylor tomorrow at 1. We'll talk more about that as we roll through the show. Coming up at 1, we'll get into some basketball, NBA style. They've started the second half. How good can these Lakers be? Sixers got a win last night. Mavs with Luka and Kyrie Irving got a win last night. We'll get into that discussion. Up next, it is the crap bag. And yes, XFL Week 2 started with another A.J. McCarron comeback. Do you care? This is The Horn. All right, let's talk a little Underdog Fantasy. Easiest place to play fantasy sports. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Now that the NBA is cranked back up, I'm checking out some NBA pick'em games. Just as an example here, first thing I see is Knicks and Washington. Jalen Brunson, the former Maverick. How about 26.5 points, higher or lower? 3.5 rebounds, higher or lower? Also looks like there's a special pick in place with Anthony Edwards, and it's 0.5 points, higher or lower. Yeah, that's special. When those come about, that means you obviously want to pick higher there because all he needs is a point to get there, and you can pair that up with some other things for a great opportunity to win. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game with a pick'em game, picking whether the player's going to go higher or lower on that stat total. Pick between 2 and 5 players to build the pick'em entry. Get them all right, and you win. You can also look at rivals picks, pitting two players against each other. Pick insurance option. You want to check that out as well. It's so easy. Just put it on your phone. I just checked it while I was talking to you. Sign up today with the promo code HORN and get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with my promo code HORN to get your first first deposit doubled up to $100. Must be 18 or over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. It's the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. It's Underdog Fantasy. Oh, here we go. Come on now. Oh, Zay, you've picked a great one. You've picked a great one. Let him go here. All right, so what you might have done, Zay, a day after you made my wife so happy by giving Def Leppard's Hysteria an A, you might be playing her favorite Quiet Riot song right now.
Really?
It is Quiet Riot with The Wild and the Young. This is from QR3. My wife would tell you it's an unsung record for Quiet Riot. She loves herself some QR3, man. There's a ballad or two on this album she loves, but we're both fans of this. And I like a lot of Quiet Riot, but I do like The Wild and the Young. Rest in peace to the great Kevin Dubrow, one of the great frontmen of all time. Another goofy trivia answer for you here, Zay. This band is technically the first heavy metal band to ever go number one.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're kind of, to name another act you might be familiar with in terms of how important it was, you know, the Beastie Boys album was the first rap album to go number one.
Right.
And it opened a lot of doors for a lot of other people. when Quiet Riot went number 1, a whole bunch of bands showed up. A whole bunch of bands got signed in L.A. You know what I mean? The music industry went, oh, y'all care about that kind of music? So this was an influential band that way. Their lead singer was a complete maniac in a good way and some bad ways. But shout out to Quiet Riot, also the Little River Band getting us started today. One of our guys, Tennis Tom, texted at us, Little River Band, Yacht Rock? I was like, I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm not familiar with them.
That's what Craig Way said.
Craig Way said they were Yacht Rock. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know much about the Yacht Rock. So Little River Band and Quiet Riot, though, getting us started today. We'll get into some NBA talk coming up. Nobody goes drama like the NBA, but right now the NBA is actually trying to give us, what's that word? Basketball. They're actually getting back to playing, and there have been some teams put together that folks are starting to talk about. Zay will give you his thoughts on that Lakers bunch they put together. Not a lot of massive headlines created by the Lakers, but did they actually put a good basketball team together? We'll talk about that coming up. We got that football story to get to with Russell Wilson. There's a story that Russell Wilson tried to get Pete Carroll fired, and he has now felt the need to refute that story. So we'll get to all of that drama. And there's a story about the situation in Denver, what he had in Denver. So there's been a lot of discussion about that. We'll get into that stuff at the top of the 1 o'clock hour. Right now, though, let's get into the crap bag. A.J. McCarron did it again.
Chad's crap bag.
Crap bag. If you need an easy way to remember it, just think of a bag of crap.
But he didn't cry. Let me make sure I say that right now because I don't want Zay running out of here. He did not cry. It's brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. XFL Week 2 did start last night. St. Louis is 2-0 now, and they've kind of done it. Not kind of. They've done it in comeback fashion twice. Now, it wasn't as crazy. So, Zay, this wasn't one of those where they had to take advantage of XFL rules or anything like that. They were down 1 late, and he needed a drive and a field goal, and he got a drive and a field goal. So it wasn't as crazy as we saw in the last game, and he was able to keep himself composed in the post-game interview. But you can feel it from A.J. McCarron. It matters. It was interesting to watch for me because we all know what he is in the NFL. That's a lifetime clipboard guy, lifetime backup. And he was really honest about it. He said, obviously I've been a backup in the NFL. He said, and it's a great life, but I missed playing. And he just talked about the value of actually playing in the game. And he's claiming that they have a great chemistry going on with this team and that they like each other and all that kind of stuff. So the St. Louis Battlehawks are 2-0. Both on the road, by the way. They're about to go home to that city that kind of digs it. That's been a supportive city to spring football first time.
And I think that's a big thing with all these spring football leagues. The teams that don't have an NFL franchise in their respective cities for USFL or XFL, I think are going to have an advantage due to people wanting to come see them, like the San Antonio team and like the St. Louis team. So
I agree.
Yeah, I think they're going to have home field advantages and stuff like that. So for A.J. McCarron, even though I dogged him out last week, I respect him wanting to play. I respect that. I respect him just having the love for the game and saying, you know what, I could have been making some paper in the NFL, being a clipboard guy, and maybe got more recognition that way.
Yeah. And he may still go do that.
Yeah, he still do that, but I love the game so much. Why not?
Yeah, it was cool. And that's one of the reasons I dig the spring leagues, because I'll just watch football anytime, anywhere. But it's those opportunities. We've been talking about it, man. What The Rock and Danny Garcia have put together is, and the other guy who I never remember his name. I'm sorry, dude. You're just not as famous as those other two. I feel bad. That third guy, I can never remember his name. But they put together a pretty cool idea here, and Seattle's now 2-0. So this weekend, tomorrow, you got D.C. at Vegas, 6 o'clock FX. Then Sunday, all 3 Texas teams will play. San Antonio is at Orlando, 3 o'clock, and San Antonio's 0-1, of course, after what A.J. McCarron did to them. And then Sunday afternoon is the big one, Arlington at Houston, 6 o'clock. It's ESPN2, or if you want to get over to the University of Houston Stadium, that's where they will do that one.
Wade versus Bob.
6 o'clock. How about that? The first meeting of Wade and Bob this year.
I like it.
Yeah, it'll be pretty good.
Have they faced each other in anything? They've been around for a hot minute. I think Bob's just been college and Wade's just been NFL?
We'd have to peek into that 2020 XFL season and see if they had played long enough. Because Bob was the coach that year, and I think Wade was a coach too.
Okay.
I think. So yeah, the other thing to watch in that game, that might not be the greatest game to the eyes because those two teams are leaning with defense. The Renegades are the ones that had those 2 pick sixes because who's the quarterback? Was that DiNucci? That some quarterback threw them 2 of the ugly. I think it may have been bad Ben DiNucci the first time. And then Houston had some, their defense stepped up too and won 33-12. So they're both, I think they both would rather have an ugly game. So I don't know if that's going to be the greatest game in the world to watch. But the other weird little thing to pay attention if you're watching these games at all, right now the percentage, Zay, on 2-point conversions, on their conversions, there's a higher percentage of 3-point than anything else. The 1 point is from the 2-yard line. The 2 point is from the 5-yard line, but from the 10-yard line. Now, there's been less attempts, but the percentage is higher.
Huh.
And what you kind of watch is if the offense is a pass-oriented offense and they like to throw, it just gives you more space.
Right.
So you're back at the 10, and guys like June Jones has already been decided to be that guy. He's going for 3 pretty much every time.
I feel him.
Because he wants to back it up and give himself a little space.
Yeah.
So definitely something to check out. I still dig the kickoff thing. And, we'll see if people continue to watch this sport as it goes on. And, hopefully they get to survive and give these guys an opportunity.
Do we see any Turpin/PJ Walkers right now? It's too early to see.
I definitely haven't seen a Turpin.
Okay.
I have not seen a big-time punt return, a special teams guy yet. In terms of a PJ Walker...
and when I say that, that could be any position.
Could be any position.
Anybody
right.
that has a chance to maybe they could play on the next level.
I think there's been a couple of DBs that have been all right. And I'm honestly right now, I feel myself watching receivers in this league. I feel like there's going to be like the big cat that went to Iowa State, Hakeem Butler. Remember that name?
Kinda.
Hakeem Butler is who did St. Louis just play? He's in Seattle. No, my bad. He's with A.J. McCarron because he caught, I think, their touchdown to get that thing started last week. So he's in St. Louis. That's the kind of guy I'd keep an eye on because there's got to be a situation where somebody might take a chance on him.
Yeah, Hakeem Butler went to Fort Bend Travis.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Texan. I forgot about that. So I'd keep watching guys like that. Because of the offensive line struggles, I don't think we're not seeing badass running back play yet. So I think it's going to be about, can these quarterbacks get the balls to the receivers and tight ends and then show them off a little bit? Mm. And then on the other side, it's the guys covering them. So it's receivers and DBs to me right now in the XFL.
All right.
Yeah, there's been some okay performances, I think, throughout. So keep an eye on that. Week 2 of the XFL. 1 o'clock hour is coming up. Let's talk a little NBA and some NFL drama. The Russell Wilson stuff in the NFL and in the NBA. The second half is underway. Mavs fans, you got your first win with Luka and Irving playing last night. Does it mean much? We'll talk about that. Zay will give you his thoughts on these Lakers. Sixers looking pretty good as well. We'll have a little NBA discussion. You can throw down on it if you want to. Plus an update on where somebody thinks Chris Beard might end up. Don't move. It's the Horn. All right, let's go hour number 2 on a Friday. Busy weekend around these parts. First home series for the Texas baseball team. They're taking on Indiana this weekend, if you want to check it out. 6:30 this evening with Lucas Gordon on the hill. Zane Morehouse gets the ball tomorrow. That's a 1 o'clock start. Remember, the middle game will be on 1260 because of men's basketball and that conflict. Sunday at noon is game 3. We don't know who the pitcher is going to be there yet. Texas trying to get that record up over 500. They're 1-3, of course, going in to that. Got Texas men's basketball, 1 o'clock on the horn at Baylor tomorrow. The women are at OU, also 1 o'clock. That's over on the bat. 1:05:3. And then softball has 2 tomorrow on the bat. They've got 2 today on the just 1 today. Well, a 4 o'clock game for softball today on the bat. And then softball will also have 1 on Sunday, 3 o'clock. That is also on the bat. HornFM.com for those full schedules. Obviously, TexasSports.com for all those schedules, ticket information. A lot of, obviously, the 2 basketball teams on the road this weekend. We talked about that. We got some football stuff to get into. It is Chad and Zay on this Friday. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier. And I told all of you, and Zay, I told you, I thought my weird idea for Chris Beard is that he'll end up somewhere in the SEC, and Texas and his team are going to play each other in a few years. And somebody texted a Twitter link to us to Jeff Goodman of who is Jeff? Jeff is with at Stadium, basketball analyst, and he had tweeted out that Ole Miss fired Kermit Davis.
Uh-oh.
And so I thought, well, that is an SEC team, and Davis has been terrible there. The numbers are just wretched. Somebody texted tweeted out 34 total conference wins in 6 seasons as a head coach at Power 5. Do that math. 34 conference wins in 6 seasons at a Power 5 school.
Yeah, it's like 5, if that.
Right, you're playing 15, 16 conference games a year. What do they do? Off the top of my head, I can't remember how many the SEC plays, but it's up in that area, and that is bad. So just something to keep in mind. I'm not saying Ole Miss is going after Chris Beard. I don't know that there's any kind of report like that out there. It just feels like the basketball gods are going to put that together at some point. One of those schools is going to need a coach. One of them already does. And Texas will be in the SEC in a couple years. So that's just the vision that I've had, is Chris Beard walking up and shaking hands with the current Texas head coach, whoever that is at the moment, and they've got to play an SEC game. So we'll see.
That'd be crazy. That'd be absolutely nuts. But we know he's going to get the coach again, and it might be next year. It might be. If you're desperate enough to get him, why not?
Yeah, and
he's a free man.
We've seen a lot of coaches coach after doing something far worse than he did.
Yeah.
Being involved in stuff worse than what he would be involved in.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a school that will make the argument about, redemption and forgiveness and him moving forward and him trying to be a better person and all those things. So just keep your eye on that kind of stuff. We also have a little NBA we're going to get into here. The second half has begun. Last night, Zay, Mavs over the Spurs. First time Luka and Irving had played together and they won. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's
right.
I think that's right.
Kyrie's played 4 games, 2 of them, 5 games now. 2 of them were without Luka. 3 of them have been with Luka. They're 1 and 2 with Luka.
Have you been able to get an assessment on how much better they are, and does this maybe help them get, 1 notch farther in the playoffs?
Maybe. I mean, they are better than what they were before they had Kyrie. Like when it was all just Luka and Dorian Finney-Smith and guys like that were just standing around, just shooting, playing off Luka, and Luka would get tired out. That's just destined for failure. So now when you could give the ball to Kyrie, who had a solid game last night with 23 points, Luka could chill, and Luka doesn't have to exert as much energy offensively or defensively. But that's the thing. They're going to give up a lot of points defensively. You can't really tell with the Spurs. The Spurs are tanking like crazy. Like, it's just the amount of games that they've lost this season. talk about Spurs basketball. If they put their mind to something, whether winning or losing, they're going to do it a good job at it. So now they're putting their mind to losing, and they're doing a terrific job. Victor Wembanyama, we talked about him yesterday. He's 7'5" now. I get it. I completely get it.
My God.
I'm going to try to get some tickets when they come down to the Mood for those 2 games. They better be cheap because you see what they're doing this year, y'all. This is a joke. What they put out there is an absolute joke. So you have no idea what you take from this. If you're a Mavs fan, you just got to wait to see what these other 24, 23 games are going to look like. But, yeah, Mavs in at the 6th seed. They're not technically in the play-in. And, you know, Dwight Powell, he's all right. You need Christian Wood to be really good. And him coming off the bench.
Yeah, he's got to give you some of that. He's got to be a good big guy for them.
Yeah.
They got to have some of that good, because the 2 stars aren't going to provide that at all.
No, and Christian Wood don't want to be no big guy.
Yeah.
He don't want to bang down there. And when it comes playoff time, it gets a little more physical. And Christian Wood's never been to the playoffs.
So he wants to step out.
Yeah, he wants to shoot threes
Yeah.
and stuff. And he's good playing off Luka, but you got a guard. And in this day and era of NBA, those 2 big men, that's extinct. That ain't no thing no more. You got 1 big man most of the time and 4 guards.
Yeah.
And guys like Luka and LeBron and Kevin Durant playing your 4.
Super freaks.
All those guys, play your 4 on defense and then play like your 1 and 2 on offense.
Right.
Like the
and
NBA's
then bring the ball up the floor.
Yeah, then bring the ball up the floor.
Yeah.
Like the NBA's nuts. If you would have asked a 90s fan what it would look like now, they look at you like you're insane because just traditional old school big man with David Robinson and Tim Duncan, that ain't no thing no more. So they're going to get exposed in the playoffs when they play a really good big man team. Like if they played the Kings right now, Sabonis would dominate them.
Yeah, obviously Denver.
Oh, yeah, Denver would kill
Denver's
them.
such a bad matchup for them.
Yeah. Now, it might not be as bad because Joker and Luka are friends, and they were seen hanging out in Utah together All-Star weekend with their respective girlfriends and wives. I don't know their situations and stuff, so they're close. Maybe Luka can get in his head. Luka knows stuff about Joker that nobody else does. They speak the same language. You could talk to him in Yugoslavian.
I hope that's not the playoff strategy, but hey, try everything you can. Right? Try everything you can get to.
Yeah, but that all in all, that's a terrible matchup. Dwight Powell, he's a good defender. Nobody could guard Nikola Jokic, who's going on his 3rd MVP this year. But yeah, the Mavs, they'll be fine. If they played the Kings right now in the playoff start, I'm taking the Kings.
Okay.
I
am. So I heard some reaction from the Lakers game last night. I'll admit I didn't get a chance to see it. That was the nightcap on TNT. The Lakers got the win, but it was how they got the win that was getting some attention because this was not just a game about LeBron and or Anthony Davis. Talk to me about the Lakers, what they've put together, and do you think this is a team we need to start paying attention to?
Yeah, definitely. Beforehand, when they had Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverley, those guys gave them nothing this year. I know Russell Westbrook is a Hall of Famer. I know he averaged a triple-double for 3 straight years, MVP guy. But, when you put these teams together, you got to make sure everybody meshes. You just can't put guys together due to their past and what they used to do. Like, Russell Westbrook can't shoot. Patrick Beverley wasn't shooting like he did in previous stops. Because he was a pretty good 3-point shooter when he was with the Clippers and stuff. Like, he knocked down spot-up threes and whatnot. He gave you none of that. So this new team, trading for D'Angelo Russell, who got hurt last night, so you didn't see him play much. But the games that he's been there, he's been terrific playing with LeBron and Anthony Davis. Everybody always thinks LeBron has to have the ball in his hands all the time. You don't become the number 1 scorer in league history having the ball in your hands all the time. You got to be able to play off others. You got to be good at cutting. You got to be good at coming off screens. You just have to have a huge basketball IQ because you're going to get double teamed at times. So having another point guard out there like a D'Angelo Russell, that helps LeBron tremendously. Kind of like with the Kyrie Irving situation with Luka. Now LeBron doesn't have the ball in his hands. He could rest at times. They could throw it to Anthony Davis. They could put D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Davis in pick and roll and have LeBron play off them and vice versa. And now you got Malik Beasley who could really shoot that rock coming in from the Timberwolves. Jared Vanderbilt, he could play too. Kind of Swiss Army knife guy, around 6'9", good defender. He could shoot a little bit. Coming off the bench, you got Rui Hachimura, who you traded for in Washington. The guy came out of Gonzaga. He could play a little bit at 6'10", could do multiple things. Mo Bamba, Texas alum, 7'1", could step out and shoot the three, long arms.
How about Bamba last night?
He played well.
Little double-double.
Played well. So this Rob Pelinka, as bad as he's been these last few years on getting the team together, whether you think it's him being a general manager or LeBron, either way, they've done a really good job making in-season trades. And with 20-something games out, they're a pretty scary team. I wouldn't want to see them.
So they're at 28 wins. That is only
13.
That's only 4 games out of where the Mavs are.
Yeah.
Just to let everybody know, you just said the Mavs are the 6th seed. So they are literally just a game or two away from being in play-in game discussion. I would love to see a team like that. I mean, right now, if we could get those two teams from last night, Lakers and Warriors, in a play-in, in the play-in discussion, that could certainly be good to get some eyeballs on those early games. So, all right, we'll pay attention to the Lakers. There's a few players there. The bench scoring being that effective and LeBron not needing to help them that much was surprising to see. They really had Malik Beasley leads them in scoring.
He can shoot it.
Last night.
He can shoot it. And if the Lakers want to get to where they want to go, Anthony Davis has to be healthy and he has to be good. We saw him pouting at LeBron's scoring night and stuff, and he said it was because they were losing, which I guess that's a good comeback and stuff. Like, you want to win, but we know how frail he could be. We know just him walking down the street, tripping on the sidewalk, he'd be out for 2 months.
Yeah,
that's Anthony Davis. It is what it is.
He'd be out for a month if 4 people gave him a tattoo.
No,
you realize that?
Yeah. He couldn't have that CeeDee Lamb treatment.
There's no way
at all.
No chance.
So I'm excited. Now we can kind of start focusing more on the NBA, with college basketball kind of coming to a close, even though we got March Madness about to come through. So, I'm paying attention a lot more. In the East, the Sixers look good.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because they got a nice win last night in that first game. That was them over Memphis. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And Philly is sitting in the 3 spot right now. Boston, Milwaukee, Philly are the top 3 teams in the East. How good is Embiid and how good are the Embiid and the crew looking right now?
Embiid's been incredible all year long. He's going to get runner-up to Joker again for MVP. It seems like that's what it is every single season. But, he's the best big man in the East, and there's no questions asked. With them, P.J. Tucker, that was a huge get in the offseason. P.J. Tucker's kind of bounced around these last few years. He won that ring in Milwaukee. Then he went to Miami. It didn't work out. Then he went to Philly. So he's just been on a whole bunch of Eastern Conference
I'd kind of forgotten he was there, yeah.
Yeah.
I love P.J. Tucker, though.
Doc Rivers is bringing Tyrese Maxey off the bench, which is great because there was a point in time where him and James Harden were clicking together on the court at the same time, even though Tyrese is still getting 30-something minutes. Him coming off the bench when James Harden's resting, that's big time. Because he's a microwave-type guy. If they bring him off the bench for the rest of his career, he's that type of cat that could be a 6th man of the year every single season. So if you have Tobias Harris being kind of your 4th option, that's good for somebody like him. He can stretch the floor and shoot it. And then James Harden, he's quietly had a terrific season, 22-10. 22-11. He got snubbed in the All-Star game, which he's using that as fuel.
Rest.
Got
some rest.
Exactly. Yeah. Probably went to a strip club or 2.
Not probably.
Definitely went to a strip club or 2.
Probably ordered chicken wings.
Definitely had some chicken wings, And James Harden, if he could stay healthy, was not healthy last year during their playoff run. If he could stay healthy, they're a scary squad too, and they're right there with Milwaukee and Boston.
All right. Since you mentioned him, did you see that story about James Harden and the kid in the hospital?
I heard about it.
Dude, this is such great stuff. This is where sports just goes to that next level. James Harden has, if I'm understanding it right, James Harden has established a relationship of sorts with, this is one of the victims that is in a hospital, one of the victims of the Michigan State shooting.
Oh, wow.
And this young man, I believe, I think I heard it right. He's like paralyzed, I want to say, from the chest down or waist down, something like that. Just awful stuff. But they showed a video of him FaceTiming with James Harden. And Harden has reached out to him. Harden is, I think, helping with medical bills and the stuff he's got going on. Harden sent gifts over to the hospital, and he's telling this guy, like, I'm here for you. You know, let me know if you need something. You keep fighting, all that kind of stuff. And you can see the emotion on the dude's face. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That was so cool. And good to hear for him that he's having a good season. James Harden is that level of talent that if he can be focused in, if the team makes sense, he can absolutely be a story we watch in the springtime.
He rubs people the wrong way because of the style that he used to play in Houston, plus all the stuff that he did off the court.
Right.
Like, he has his moments off the court. You know, he was dating Khloe Kardashian for a little bit. And
that's why I wanted to mention that story, because it was like, oh, wow, James Harden does have a heart. He's a human being.
Exactly.
I sometimes forget that. Yeah.
And that style of play that they had in Houston during like the D'Antoni days, a lot of ISO, not much team ball. He put up like 60 and 10 and stuff, and then they lose in the playoffs because it would be too much on him, and Chris Paul wouldn't be healthy, and they went through Russell Westbrook. They had their moments during his tenure, but that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Now, and obviously the Brooklyn stuff did too.
Oh, sure.
Which, if you look back,
all three of those guys ended up rubbing some people the wrong way.
Right, but if you look
from
back,
different reasons.
James Harden was the first one to say something's not right here. Like, he was the last one to get to Brooklyn. But then when he got there, he was like, something isn't right.
First guy to see it.
Yeah. And everybody was like, oh, here it goes. James Harden out here bitching again. What you doing? How could you not want to play with Kyrie and KD? You wanted this. These are your friends. And now you're saying something isn't right. So then they were like, God, we can't do it with this James Harden. Yeah. But now it's like, oh, he kind of had something there. He kind of had something there.
That's interesting. So keep your eye on the NBA. Had some good games last night as they rolled back into the second half, and we'll keep our eye on all those things. Also, we will keep an eye on the Denver Broncos. Yesterday we told you about Vance Joseph as the DC. That was the football story. Today, the soap opera hit. The NBA version of the Denver Broncos hit, because there is a story out there that Russell Wilson was trying to get Pete Carroll fired, and apparently reportedly went to the GM. This is a report from The Athletic that he went to the GM, John Schneider, trying to get them to hire Sean Payton at some point. So there's a lot of drama out there, so much so that Russell decided he needed to tweet out, I love Pete. He was a father figure to me, and John believed in me and drafted me as well. I never wanted them fired. All any of us wanted was to win. I'll always have respect for them and love for Seattle. So he's even had a lawyer step up and say that this is all fabricated. Say, it's that serious to Russell Wilson, I guess, to refute this.
Yeah. Because most likely that number 3 is going to be somewhere around the stadium, Hall of Famer, retired, I would think. So he doesn't want to rub people the wrong way. And we knew it was a little toxic during his exit anyway with him and Pete Carroll. So I don't know if I believe it.
Yeah, it feels like there was something going on.
Something was going on where he was disgruntled, unhappy. I don't know if that was just with Pete Carroll or the whole coaching staff, but there was a point in time where they weren't seeing eye to eye, and it you saw that with the play too.
Yeah, I will keep saying it about him and his incredible wife. To be married to a woman that feels that effortlessly talented and good looking, I can't believe enough of it hasn't rubbed off on him, because he feels like he's trying so hard at everything, every single thing. If he can just sit back and let it come to him a little more, I think that would help him out. The story's also coming out about him having a special office in the locker room and saying he has an open door policy to his teammates. Zay, what the heck is that?
What is that?
I'm lost on that one.
Like, you're not above anybody. You might have the most important position in all of sports, and yes, you probably go into the Hall of Fame. Some people say you have some work to do.
Yeah, he is above them in a lot of key ways. I just mentioned one of them. Ciara is in his bed.
Yeah.
Every night, theoretically.
And that was the pro about him. Like, how professional he was off the field.
Yeah.
How human he was off the field and how relatable he was. Because again, he's not like this 6'5" big time
Right.
quarterback who was a big 5-star player. He had to transfer from North Carolina State to Wisconsin. And then I don't know when he was drafted, but it wasn't like he was the first pick.
Right.
So yeah, he's right. Seattle did take a chance on him. And who knows if he didn't have that defense behind him where he would be. You know, there's just a lot that goes into it, but
Third round pick.
yeah. So
In 2012, by the way.
okay,
Yeah, third round pick.
And you hear the stories with Richard Sherman talking about, yeah, I can't even get a hold of him.
Right.
Like that, bro. He went to war with these guys.
Well, maybe he didn't have an open door policy back then.
That's BS. That is BS.
Oh, Sean Payton's got a little work to do there, but man, the talent is there. We've all seen it, and yeah, you bring up a great point there with he's listed here as 5'11". It's kind of in that Drew Brees sort of challenge to his game where he was having to overcome a lot of that, and obviously did an incredible job for a while. Now they're trying to kind of reset things, so he's trying to refute the story. Denver folks are talking about this, and I'm sure the office stuff and. They're talking about extra plays and stuff that he and Daniel Hackett were putting together, and that would, that it just feels like maybe too much power for him. This special quarterbacks coach that was in the facility that now Sean Payton has had to say, no, man, he's not going to be here. I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Yeah. And you know what? It's also odd, Chad, with Russell Wilson, if you talk about him being with Sierra and the let's ride thing.
Yep.
And just not being his authentic self.
Yeah, because he said go Hawks for all those years.
Yeah, he said go. Now he's on the let's ride and stuff like that.
Why couldn't he just say go Broncos?
Right?
That's what I wondered the first time I heard him say it.
Yeah, it's just.
Because he thinks he's going to slip up, maybe?
Yeah.
Go Hawks. Oh, no. That's what he thinks?
Yeah, and he might be a prime example of just becoming too big. Of thinking himself as, being with Sierra and seeing how people treat. Because he didn't come in the league with Sierra.
No, he did not.
He came with a old girl that was happy that he got drafted night when he was on the couch. Yeah. Old girl, we don't know where she is now, but.
Actually, she was the girl dancing right next to Giselle. Did you not know that? No,
that damn show wasn't her.
No, that wasn't her.
I remember how that girl looked. That wasn't her.
No, that wasn't her. That was not her. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, but just. Losing himself.
Yeah, he
letting
is.
The NFL and the fame, like same with Roger Goodell, that don't look good. Like as a player, that's especially with the reputation that Roger Goodell gets with the players.
Yeah.
And stuff. And we saw Christian Jones hugging him Chris Jones, hugging him at the Super Bowl, and people thought that was odd and stuff. So yeah, Russell Wilson, he's gonna have to bring it back down a little bit. I think Sean Payton's the right guy that will let him know, like, bro, you ain't above the team.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, a lot of weird non-football work they're going to need to do there in Denver. A lot of NFL fans talking about that story today. We'll continue to do it as well. Coming up at 2:05, we're going to check in with Jeff Ketchum of OrangeBloods.com. Longhorn stuff from the week. College football news this week. I want to get his thoughts on the future of the Pac-12. Where does he think that's headed? Also up next, your Flex 30 segment. Round 2 of the playoffs tonight, and the big matchup that Zay wants and I want, and a lot of you should want, is 1 round away. We'll tell you what it is next on The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Rolling through a Friday. Oh, monster voice. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member now. The incredible Pat Benatar. Ladies and gentlemen, Heartbreaker. Ooh, this is like 82? 81? Something like that? We're early 80s here, Zay. Early on in the run. You into Pat Benatar?
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen her lately?
No.
Do a little Google search on Pat Benatar. You talk about making the gray hair thing work. Pat still looks awesome to me. Still looks she got the sexy. I don't know how old. I have to look up how old she is. She's in her 60s or 70s by now, I guess. 70 years old?
Yeah.
She still looks great. She still got that same sexiness, that great sexy smile she always had. The voice is incredible. She and her husband and the band performed at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
She was great, man.
I see the sex appeal.
Pat Benatar, Quiet Riot, Little River Band have all been a part of the show today. I've got to see Pat Benatar at some point. I hope they get back out there. I've never seen Pat. I've seen a couple of the big female voices of that era, but I need to see her. I still haven't seen Heart. I need to see both her and Ann Wilson at some point. So Pat Benatar rolling out today. We hope you're having a good Friday. We just talked a little NBA. We've been talking a little Russell Wilson with this NFL stuff. And yes, the new Cowboys coaching staff is out there. If you want to check that out, Scott Tolzien is the quarterback's coach. I hope that makes sense. I hope getting a backup that was a backup for Aaron Rodgers with McCarthy somehow unlocks something for Dak Prescott. That full list is out there. Zay and I both retweeted it earlier at C Hastings 1049 for me, at @Zay for Isaiah.
If I told you, what's coach's name?
Tolzien.
If I told you Tolzien and Aaron Rodgers were best friends, how'd that make you feel then?
So
What do you mean so?
I don't know. How does that help? How does that help Dak Prescott? That's what I'm asking. How would that help Dak?
Because Coach has soaked up game from Aaron Rodgers, like off the field game and on the field, locker room, film, etc.
Okay.
So he's with him a lot because they're best friends. Now this is
Gotcha. So
hypothetical.
So Tolzien is best friends with Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Okay. And you're
this is hypothetical again, but
right, you're theorizing then he could become best friends with Dak.
Yeah. I'm just trying to make Cowboy fans feel comfortable. For a non-Cowboys fan like myself,
I appreciate
I'm
the
trying
effort.
to make y'all feel as comfortable as possible because there's a lot of changes going on. So yeah.
Well, you know, one thing I didn't even look at was O-line. Who's the O-line coach? Because they needed a new one of those too. Where's O-line? Offensive coordinator. Oh, yeah. Mike Solari. Mike Solari. Let me guess. He met Aaron Rodgers one time? Mike Solari. Is that who that is? He and Aaron Rodgers' wife went to high school together? Or his fiance back in the day, whoever that was? My God. Mike Solari. I don't know that name. I apologize for not knowing it. We'll look that up and figure out who he is. But that's, yeah, new O-line, new running backs coach, new quarterbacks coach, and obviously new offensive coordinator, and a whole new guy calling plays, and that, of course, is Mike McCarthy. And I'll just lay my biggest fear out now and probably say it many, many times before the season starts, but when I hear people say Mike McCarthy, West Coast offense, that scares me when it comes to Dak Prescott. It just does. That doesn't feel like Dak's natural habitat. When I hear West Coast offense and I think about what Aaron Rodgers can do, it doesn't connect in my head. You got to have a guy that can get the ball out quickly, make good, quick decisions, and always give you the accurate NFL throw that you need.
You want Dak
not quite Dak to me.
You want Dak to go back to that Mississippi State running type offense?
Now you can't go all the way that way in the NFL. No. You gotta find the mix though.
I'm just BSing, but
you have to find that mix. No, you can't do a true run style. We know that, but it's got to be a little more unconventional with him. I just don't think you can say let's go typical West Coast offense. I hope Mike McCarthy proves me wrong.
Show him Montana tape.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. You can show him Montana tape, but dude,
you said West Coast.
I know.
Who was better?
I know exactly.
Who was better?
is showing Dak Prescott, Joe Montana, and Aaron Rodgers film going to do anything other than make him go, man, they're good. They really are good.
I could do that.
Whew.
That's what Dak should be saying. I could do that, coach.
I hope he's right. I've watched stuff on the other side of it, though. All right, Zay, let's get into the flex segment. There's a lot of big basketball games coming up, but there's one we hope is coming up. Let's talk playoffs here.
Flex ATX for the best high school sports coverage. Listen to the Horn and go to FLXATX.com. Flex 30 is brought to you by Brain Vault. Brain Vault is a revolutionary and patented mouthguard that has been proven to help reduce the risk of concussion. Visit BrainVault.com and join the movement.
Best of luck to all the area teams tonight trying to advance in the playoffs. Boys basketball, girls basketball as well. Westlake and San Marcos, the one we talked about yesterday, over at Bowie High School in Zay's neck of the woods. That is tonight at 7:30 if you want to go check it out. Now, the game we're hoping for may get set up tonight. Buda Johnson's taking on New Braunfels. They'll play at Hayes High School at 7 o'clock. And at 7 o'clock, over at Lehman High School, those Stony Point Tigers at 30-1 will take on Steele. If those two teams win, Stony Point and Buda Johnson, Zay, they will play in the third round.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Woo! This has that feel of the Vandergrift Dripping Springs football game we
Yeah,
wanted.
absolutely.
Right?
That's
Kinda-
a great point.
Kind of has that.
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, Steele and, New Braunfels, both good teams. New Braunfels, especially
29-5.
they beat that San Marcos team that's like top 15 in the state.
Okay.
That has Malik Presley, who Texas offered this season, super athletic guy. I'm trying to go to one of those games tonight.
Okay.
The one at Bowie with San Marcos and Westlake. I think that'll be a really good one. Westlake, we saw what they did against Westwood. I see Coach Lucero got a better flip on the coin. They're not playing at San Marcos High or Texas State or something like that. They got a nice neutral site.
You're playing at Texas State, and you can only play with 4 guys.
Yeah.
That's the coin flip.
Like, good grief. But, yeah, they're playing at Bowie. That should be a good one. Great games tonight, but
Yeah.
it's always going to be great games when you get to this part of the season.
Good stuff. Yeah, best of luck to all those teams. We
But-
hope Buda Johnson and Stony Point will play next week. And I'm crossing my fingers that if they do play, that I don't know, maybe it'll end up on KBVO.
Hey
and
there.
Zay can put on a suit and go talk about it.
I'll be somewhere next week. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Due to the games tonight, and we'll see what happens, but we'll be somewhere next week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One other quick flex note. There is a junior day at Texas State coming up on March 25th. So if that would matter to you or the badass junior football player in your life or on your team or in your locker room, you may want to check it out. Go to FLXATX on your social media. Flex retweeted some things about that. So you can find out the information there. And there is an email that you send your RSVP to, and registration is that morning from 9:30 to 10 a.m. So check it out. Texas State Junior Day coming up on
Also,
March
Shaq,
25th.
shout out to the Pflugerville Panthers women's basketball team.
Yes.
They're still playing.
Is that right?
Yes.
Pflugerville girls still in action in the playoffs. It is an exciting time if you're into high school basketball. Flex segment every day at 1:30. Again, at 2:05, we'll try to check in with Jeff Ketchum of orangebloods.com, talk some Longhorn stuff there. Up next, where are we at in society? Zay is going to let us know. He's already shown me a picture today of CeeDee Lamb with 4 people working on a tattoo. What's he got next? We're going to find out on the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Oh, I couldn't help it. The other day, I watched that whole Whitney Houston documentary again. I watched the whole thing again. I can't help it. My prerogative.
Tell me why.
Bobby Brown. This was the peak right here. Agreed?
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, man.
Don't care.
No shirt and those baggy pants.
Yeah.
Nobody pulled it off quite like Bobby did.
Yeah, he had like a full suit on, but no shirt under it.
Like the shoes were nice, everything. Oh, man. And it's an amazing documentary. If you haven't seen Whitney, Can I Be Me is the name of the documentary. And there's just a whole lot of truth and sadness in it. And I always forget how sad and how frustrating it is.
Yeah.
But there are elements in there where you just want to reach back in time and save her life because you feel like you could do it if one person or this person or that person would have spoken up, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, they were wild.
They were.
They were wild together, and you're right, it is a sad story. You got to see both sides, though. Both sides have released their own documentaries and biopics and stuff. Because everybody just blames Bobby.
Oh, I know. It's much more complex.
It's
than that.
way more complex.
Yeah, that is such a simple way to look
like
at that story.
Bucky Gotbolt.
You can't just blame Bobby.
Always blames Bobby.
I know. That is the easiest thing to do for a lot of reasons, and not the least of which is that she's awesome and beautiful. She was awesome, beautiful, and that talented, and he was known as a bad boy.
Yeah.
And so that's the easiest thing to do is go, the bad boy ruined the princess.
Yeah, Kevin Costner has y'all shook. That's the problem. He has y'all shook and has y'all's mind all twisted. And you're right, she was just so popular and those pipes were so amazing. She couldn't do no wrong.
Yeah, there's some incredible moments they catch in that documentary too. Even though that one, that last big tour she did, man, still just had that ability to hit some incredible notes. All right, so Bobby Brown, Pat Benatar, Quiet Riot, and Little River Band have been on the show today. A lot of stuff there. Jeff Ketchum of Orange Blood's coming up at 2:05. We'll ask him about the future of college football. I want to get his thoughts on Pac-12. Is it Pac-12? Can they survive? Does he think the Big 12 is going to suck up those four teams everybody's calling the corner teams, Colorado, Utah, and the Arizona schools? And then we'll get some Longhorn stuff from him as well. What stood out to him from CDC's comments this week as kind of the state of the program, state of Texas stuff, basketball obviously getting ready for a big weekend as well. All right, that's coming up at 2. Right now, let's go Where We At in Society and see what Zay wants to talk about.
Where are we at in society today?
All right, Zay. We were talking CeeDee Lamb and tattoos at the beginning of the show. What are we hitting here?
Let's stick with Russell Wilson.
Okay.
Because current cornerback for the Seattle Seahawks, Tyreek Woodland, who had a hell of a rookie year this season.
He did.
Yeah, he was
Great player.
Really great player. I remember him and Sauce Gardner talking after a game, just kind of praising each other and bigging each other up because they're both bigger cornerbacks in the league. So, yeah, if Sauce Gardner wasn't there, Woodland might have been Defensive Rookie of the Year with the season that he had. But he went on a podcast and he's talked about his first encounter with Russell Wilson. Take a listen.
Okay.
Did he seem like he was shook?
Who, Russ?
Yeah.
Like seeing him in person, it was pretty funny because like on TV and stuff, you see him like from college stuff, you like, okay, he look in shape on TV. But you see him in person, it's like weird. He like a sack of potatoes.
Bro, he might be out of shape.
Hey, yo,
he just might be out of shape.
Yeah,
Because I mean,
but the crazy thing, he athletic, but he athletic and he a good player. But like literally, when I seen him, I'm like, dang, I ain't know he was built like that, and he was short. You know, I'm tall anyway, but I was like, damn, he that
What's
short.
he like? Wow. And everybody kind of piled on. And, no, he may be out of shape.
Sack of potatoes?
Whoa, sack of potatoes? I don't know if I go that far. My goodness.
You might as well say he got orangutan biddies.
That is crazy. I forgot that Woolen was UTSA.
That's right.
Forgot that's where he came from. Great story.
Great story.
Yeah, to become that good that quickly. He is, and one of my favorite kinds of football players, a 6'4" corner.
Yep.
Love that kind of freak on the defensive side.
That's what they're looking for.
That is weirdly cruel. Like, why? Why would that be? What a weird thing to say. When you see him on TV, he looks like he's in good shape. Nah. Weirdly pudgy. That's what I would say. Strangely round. It just freaked me out, man.
Yeah. Now I'm looking on Google, Russell Wilson's body. Y'all need to relax and not try to clown me. This is work, guys. This is work.
Work.
It's not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, I don't consider him an out of shape guy at all.
No.
And plus,
it's like a mixture of NFL in shape and just like kind of dad bod.
okay.
But not in the bad. Like, you don't expect the quarterback to be just ripped.
No,
You
right.
know, looking like DK Metcalf.
But we don't need it to be like Leonard Fournette at Bucks camp last year.
What's up
You remember
with
that?
You've been killing Leonard Fournette.
It just popped
these
in-
last few
it
days.
just popped in my
What
head both
has
days.
He done? He helped y'all win a ring
He
for
did.
your Bucks.
No, he did. And I love Leonard, but you remember that story from last year, right?
I do.
Leonard showed up as a small SUV early on in that camp.
Yeah.
And you know what? That should have been the day Tom went back to Giselle. Just saying. That should have been the day. Go beg her to come back. Please. At that point, once Leonard shows up in that shape. Anyway, I'll try to get off Leonard Fournette. I'll try to leave him alone.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, that is a weird thing to say about Russell Wilson.
So Tom's out the league. Obviously, he was the best quarterback at staying in shape.
Oh, yeah.
Who would you consider on the NFL quarterbacks? Like, I've never seen Patrick Mahomes with his shirt off. I expect him to be a little doughy.
Yeah, I don't know that it would be.
I don't think he'd be ripped out there.
I don't know that it would be Patrick. I'm going to give, despite recent stories and stuff, I'm going to assume because of his age, Aaron Rodgers got to be in good shape.
Yeah?
I bet Aaron Rodgers keeps himself in some seriously good shape.
Like Big Ben. He probably had a little gut.
Big
A
Ben.
little just natural little gut.
Yeah, when you're talking about a guy like Big Ben or Cam Newton or one of those
Yeah.
some of the bigger framed guys, I don't know that I would have thought they would have been just totally shredded.
See, Cam was still swolled up, though.
Oh, he was muscular. Yeah, he was. But he more muscular than Ben was, certainly. And then, I'm trying to think of who else would be. Rodgers, maybe.
Y'all help us out in Specs text line.
Yeah. Who's that freaky in shape quarterback right now? What?
Because it's not a position that you have to be just ripped. Like, you're not training
Well, let's stay
to
on
be ripped like that. You're not, lifting weights and stuff. You're just kind of trying to maintain flexibility.
Since we're talking about Russell, let's stay on the small side. What about Kyler Murray? Do you think Kyler Murray is like? Do you think he's taking care of himself on that level?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he kind of has to, right?
Yeah, he has to.
Otherwise,
I've never seen him out there shirt off.
No,
either.
I haven't really either. Interesting point. One other quick thing before we hit this break, and I retweeted this earlier, but something people may want to kind of think about with this Russell Wilson story. I hadn't heard this yet, but there's a video right now out with Ryan Leaf on some kind of a podcast or talk show or whatever, and Ryan Leaf is talking about a guy that was an author, like a mental health coach named Trevor Moawad, Moawad, and he points out that Russell Wilson had a very close relationship with this man. He helped Russell a whole lot. He was all about positivity, not allowing negative thoughts to get in, and he had a whole way of thinking and books that were out there and all that kind of stuff. This guy died in 2021. Tragically, suddenly, from a tumor that he never let anybody know about. So right up until, I guess, I don't know exactly how close to the end, but friends found out about it right at the time he was dying. And Ryan Leaf knows this guy because he helped him when he got out of prison. So Ryan Leaf is kind of trying to lay this story out of this was Russell's first season after this man died. So it might have been important to him. And so it was right at the end of his time in Seattle in 2021 that this guy dies. So just kind of a story to keep in mind, a context part of it that I hadn't heard the story, but credit to Ryan Leaf for throwing it out there, because it gives you a little more of the human side.
Yeah,
of
it puts some things in perspective. I mean, we know Michael Jordan retired due to his dad passing away. I'm not saying this is a dad, father-son situation, but people that are very important in your life, them not being around anymore is going to affect your everyday living.
Sure.
Not, everybody deals with things differently.
Yeah.
So for Russell Wilson to go out and to get all of this positive encouragement and having this guy have your back and be able to go and talk to him when you have adversity and whatnot, now that's not there anymore. And this was the most adversity he's ever faced in his career this season.
Yeah, how much help could he have used?
Right. And he didn't have that guy to fall back on. So that makes so much more sense now.
You're putting on a new uniform. You're trying to get a whole new culture going. Your coach is like 13 years old, and freaks out during one of the first games and makes you look bad, and then you don't play well. So there's all kinds of stuff there. And interesting little side story there from Ryan Leaf. So the Denver Broncos will be a story people are watching in the NFL for multiple reasons. Sean Payton coming together with Russell Wilson, Vance Joseph with the defense, a former head coach that takes the DC job. There is talent on that side of the ball. There is some talent on the offensive side of the ball. Can Denver, and oh, by the way, you're competing in a division with Mahomes, Herbert, and whatever idea the Raiders come up with. But specifically those first two guys. It's a tough road either way.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what they do. I dig both those guys. I've rooted for both those guys before, and I really hope Russell can find a good version of himself. He doesn't need to go out like this.
If you know that, if you're Sean Payton and you know what Ryan Leaf just said, and you already got rid of Russell's quarterback guy, maybe we should go back and take a look.
That's a good point.
Because if that's a comfort thing for him, I get what happened last season happened. And there's going to be somebody to blame no matter what. So the quarterback coach, whatever, that's not allowed to come to the facilities, he's that. But sometimes you got to be careful. Sometimes those guys that hang around are positive.
Yeah.
Obviously.
One of the main things you might want to do is talk to him about the Broncos. Do they have a team psychologist, a sports psychologist that they would recommend, or double check with Russell? Hey, dude, do you need to go see somebody? And, just kind of go down that path.
Yeah, that's a lot of trust you're giving to someone.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right, so the Russell Wilson story, one of the NFL stories rolling around right now. Up next, your 2 o'clock hour at 2:30. We'll talk about why today matters. One of the GOATs, at least in my opinion, has a birthday coming over the weekend. Another one of the GOATs who they're about to make a movie about has a birthday today. We'll get to those. Up next, it's Jeff Ketchum of OrangeBloods.com. College football, some Longhorn stuff, Longhorn basketball, whatever else we can think of on the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
I don't think I've ever heard this beat by itself. It's a good beat, though.
It's such a jam.
That's a solid beat. Chad and Zay with you. Hour number 3. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier, picking beats out for you to start the third hour. So the song is called No Diggity.
That's right.
I don't remember who did it, though. It's a big-time song. I just can't remember who it was.
Blackstreet.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
So they get down.
Yep. Oh, you have you kind of feel like you have the Kevin Dunn way of singing, where back in the day when Kevin and I were doing a show, when Kevin would imitate the song, it felt like, is he insulting that song?
No, I just don't know the lyrics.
But when you do it, it's got a little bit of that feel, and again, you kind of go 50s gangster. I really enjoy it. You kind of go to like a Humphrey Bogart movie.
Yeah.
Or like the Penguin from Adam West Batman or something. All right, so Blackstreet getting us started this hour. Lots of good stuff on the board today. We've been talking Russell Wilson in the NFL. Cowboys coaching staff has been announced as well for 2023. Yes, Scott Tolzien is the quarterback's coach. I'm still trying to get over that one. NBA second half has begun. And, of course, the Longhorns on the basketball side getting ready for a massive game in Waco. Let's talk to a man who knows a little bit about Waco and the Longhorns. Let's go to the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline and have our weekly conversation with Jeff Ketchum of OrangeBloods.com at GK Ketch. Ketch, how are you, man?
I'm good. Zay went a little bit more mainstream than he normally does. He usually picks beats that are kind of off the beaten path a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm not saying, I know, Zay, I noticed, first of all,
Thank you, Catch.
did go a little bit more. I mean, everybody should know that. I was a little disappointed, actually, that Chad didn't know that was Blackstreet. You should know that.
No, I should. You're right. And I felt bad, but I realized it wasn't there. You should know, Catch, this week in our album swap discussion, Zay reviewed Def Leppard's Hysteria. So I think that's what pulled him towards mainstream. I think that's what happened. Because he's been jamming Pour Some Sugar on Me and and Hysteria and Animal all week.
Are we going to a concert? Like, can we talk him into yet doing the concert? I would say this, Zay, you might do very well at a Def Leppard concert.
Yeah?
There's a demographic that you hit that maybe not a lot of people there would hit, and it could be fish in a barrel if you play your cards right.
That's what I'm talking about. I don't know what my wife would think.
I was going to say,
he
is a married man, Catch. I don't know if we need to be spreading out.
I didn't know that. These are the way you learn things.
Yes.
You make suggestions that are completely inappropriate, and then you find out they're inappropriate.
That's right. And then you just back it up a little bit. No problem.
Catch, if my
I'll
wife
never do that again.
Catch, if my wife ever gives me the hall pass, I'm going to a Def Leppard concert because you said so.
There you go.
I'm with it.
I'm just telling you, I have known guys that was their thing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Put yourself in a high volume, high rate of success situation, and then just let the math work for you.
There it is. So the math can be good. Math can be good in those situations. All right, Catch. Before we get to any Longhorn specific stuff, I wanted to get a general college football question out to you here because we talked this week about the I guess it was a Pete Thamel article about the Pac-12, future of the Pac-12 and what happens next and, the latest thing in realignment. Give me your thoughts on kind of what Kliavkoff is his big challenge right now and your thoughts on, Oregon, Washington. Do you think they're on the move ultimately? Do you think this corner team discussion with the Arizona schools and Colorado and Utah matters? What do you think happens here?
I think it sucks to do your stuff last, and I think that's the Pac-12's big problem right now is that everybody else is secure, and I think there's just a sense that there's, I think the Big 12 gets the money that they get because there was this feeling that if they didn't, calamity would ensue, and that suddenly the whole thing would be falling apart, right? So it was like these schools might go to the SEC. These schools might go to the Big Ten. These schools may have nothing whatsoever. What happens to Iowa State? What happens to Kansas State? What happens to all these schools in the Big 12 that nobody really wants? There was this feeling of somebody has to step up and keep this thing together or it's all going to fall apart. So they did. Then the Big 12 got this ridiculous TV deal that they most certainly do not deserve. They do not deserve to be making that much more money than what the Pac-12 will be making. But the Pac-12 they're the last ones. And if the Pac-12 had gotten itself taken care of first, and the Big 12 was the one that was left hanging out to dry, I think there'd be some really scared rhetoric coming out of some of these outposts, Ames and Manhattan. I think you'd hear some real fear. I think the Pac-12 is punished for a lot of different reasons, disinterest in its programs at the height of that. And I think, it's not like the best bull market that ever existed. And I just think Fox and ESPN are like, we're cool, actually.
Right. Yeah.
So we're not going to pay the fees that you want. The Pac-12, I think, is going to end up putting together some kind of unorthodox kind of pay. They don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to come in $20 million a year less than the Big 12. So I think you're going to see them try to do something a little outside the box. They're going to go digital. You start hearing this Apple TV stuff, and MLS has got kind of their own red zone package type stuff, Sunday Ticket, if you will. That's their version of that for, I think, $70, you can watch every team in the league every week for MLS, and they're on Apple. It could be something like that with the Pac-12. Whatever it is, it's going to be less than what they want. They don't have really a lot of options to lean into. And I think that all of these schools will be very cautious with regards to TV rights, how long they give them up. Flexibility will be the name of the game. And if you're Oregon or Washington, you're going to see what's happening here. And you're going to be like, wait a minute, Iowa State is making how much per year and we're making what? And I think that those schools are going to be looking for the best options they can possibly find. The Pac-12's on borrowed time as it currently exists because there's just no financial security there.
Yeah, that makes sense why my man didn't go with Deion to Colorado and ended up going over there with the Ravens. But Catch, let me ask you this. CDC had this town hall meeting earlier this week. Is there anything that stuck out? We know he talked about uniforms, grass field, getting a new indoor practice facility, etc. Is there anything that stuck out, or is there anything you thought that he should have addressed that he did not?
Oh. You can get us all in trouble on a Friday?
That was a good setup. How about that setup at the end?
We are almost at a you got fired on your day off kind of like situation, and I was all ready to give you a good answer, and then you asked me, are there any things that should have been asked? I mean, oh man. You know what? I'm not even going to pretend take the bait. I'm just going to give you the answer that keeps us all safe.
There you go.
I thought, see, look at me growing up and maturing, Chad.
That was growth. That was growth. Well done.
1 week after the Tiger Woods thing completely sent this part of the show spiraling out of control.
Yeah.
I hope you guys didn't get a meeting over that.
We did not. Somebody handed me something else, but not a meeting.
I thought the practice facility answer was the most interesting thing to come out of this week. It was unexpected. For those that missed it, he indicated that in the next 2 or 3 months, they would be announcing plans for what they're going to do with a practice facility. And that would then be the announcement that moving forward, there's a plan that something's going to get done and that they're going to replace that monstrosity that is the bubble. And that, from there, a lot of different things could happen. He mentioned that eventually they want the practice facility to be grass, and that when that happens, the football field could be grass, and that there could be some uniform with all of these things once the wheels are in motion. So, it's not a real answer in the sense that We don't know that by 2026 there's going to be a new on-campus practice facility. This is where it's going to be. Like, we don't know those details yet, but that he indicated by the end of the spring we might, I think it's a really big deal. I don't think the bubble is one of the single – if there were 7 wonders of the world, if you turned that upside down and talked about the 7 missed wonders of the world, I feel like the bubble's maybe in the top 3 of the top. It's bad.
Wow.
It is one of the jokes of high-level major college athletics that the University of Texas uses the bubble in 2023. It's needed. Mac Brown knew that thing needed to be replaced.
Yeah.
And Mac didn't see it happen. Charlie didn't see it happen. Tom didn't see it. All these coaches are coming and going, and that bubble has lasted the longest. That thing was around when they were trying to determine the state of Florida for Gore and Bush. It goes back a long way. Sometimes you walk into that thing, and you wonder why people haven't started writing their initials in, like on the side of the walls by now. It's just that has a chance of being replaced potentially very soon. I think is a really positive development for the Texas football program. I think sometimes we don't. That's like the uncle at Thanksgiving that nobody talks about.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, Uncle Bart's going to be here, but we're just going to keep him in the room with the TV, and he'll be fine. That's kind of been what the bubble is. The Texas is able to finally replace that. It will be a monumental moment in the history of the Texas football program. And those of us who've been around for a really long time won't even know what to say at that point anymore, because
right.
It's just the longest running joke, and that it's now the longest running joke is really a pretty big problem. So that really stood out to me. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, Catch. I think that might be on top of my list too, because when I think of like something people would all maybe have seen, Trevor Lawrence working out for NFL teams at Clemson. Does everybody remember what that looked like? Does everybody remember where he was? Yeah, Clemson's got that. And the fact that Texas has the bubble they have today, like you just said, and Clemson has that, and then we could talk about Bama and Georgia and et cetera, that's where Texas really needs to catch up. That's why it's important.
And Chad, think of it like this. When Texas either was or was not talking to Nick Saban in 2013,
yep,
when they were either not or were talking to Nick Saban, the bubble was literally at the top of the list of things that if they were talking to or not to Nick Saban, because I don't want to relitigate that for you today, but it was always believed that Nick Saban was not going to come to Texas unless immediately there was a plan for what to do with the bubble. Now, obviously, they never got so far into talking that got addressed, but it was a talking point in the conversations that did happen, which I only say that as they knew a decade ago that thing needed to be replaced. And a decade later, it hasn't been replaced, but we may soon hear plans of its replacement, which would be news.
You know what? If he had taken that job, they might have strafed that thing with F-16s like in Top Gun. Like that.
Napalm would have come out.
Yeah, like a week later it might have been done. I'm sorry, Zay. Go ahead. Oh my
Catch,
God.
this basketball team, they had a big win against Iowa State. We know the next 3 is going to be tough. We know we're tied right now in first place with Kansas, and Kansas has an easier 3 games than the Horns do. What do you expect tomorrow when they go down to the Farrell Center?
Good question. Texas is great at home. They're kind of average-ish on the road, which in this Big 12 is not bad. I mean, 5. What are they in 5? I think they're 4-4 or something like that in the Big 12 on the road. I either saw that number or I just made it up. Apologies either way. You know, it's going to be a game that goes down to the last 4 minutes because it's college basketball. And the thing that I think gives you a lot of hope if you're Texas is they got 6 dudes that have played over 100 games. I think that was like a stat that was thrown out over the weekend. They had 6 guys on the team that have played over 100 college games in their careers. It's been a long time since Texas has had a team like that. I mean, this is why they are as good as they are. Because in the final 8 minutes of basketball games, all these really adult old dudes, and yes, Serge Jabari, I am talking about you, because these dudes are in their 20s. And when the game gets tough and, like, guys start making mistakes, Texas doesn't make a lot of mistakes late in games. Because they got a bunch of old dudes that have been there and done that. And so I don't expect them to win tomorrow, but I absolutely believe that they can and they could and they might. Kansas has a schedule advantage. What they did in winning last week against Baylor and then coming back and winning at TCU means that they kind of have, I don't know, it feels like they've got a freebie in their back pocket. Like, I think that at worst, Kansas is playing for a share of the tournament or the number 1 seed in the conference championship when they come to play. But it feels like they're going to win their next 2 games. And Texas got to go play on the road in a couple of tough places. If they split, that's actually doing really good. Really, seriously. I think every Texas fan should snap someone's hand off if they're offered 1-1 over the next 2 games. Because then if they win in Austin, they win a share of the championship, and that is really important. They could play 2 really good games and finish 0-2, and that game doesn't matter all of a sudden next Saturday against Kansas. So, if you're Texas, don't freak out if you lose in Waco, but you have to know that you have to win one of these next 2 games on the road. And these will be, I think, the 2 toughest remaining games of the season. Yeah. I don't think they'll play anything in the Big 12 tournament or anything in the actual tournament itself that will be more difficult than going on the road in the next 2 games.
I think you may be right there. By the way, Catch, I just double-checked the schedule. I know why you were thinking 4-4. It's 4-3 in conference, 4-4 if you count Tennessee. That's where the road.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what the road record would be there.
But I should have said 4-3 because we do not speak of that Tennessee game.
Right. Of
I've
course.
blocked that out.
Yes.
We've all agreed we're just not talking about that.
That's weird because
neither are Tennessee fans. They're part of the people who are no longer talking about that game. Everybody just agreed that didn't happen.
See, that's weird. As an Aggie, I like talking about Tennessee games right now. I mean,
yes, you do.
I got to try to talk about that one as much as possible. Real quick before I let you go, Catch, just kind of maybe a historical question in a way. Zay and I were talking about, I said, hey, this is what, Zay was saying, this may be the last time they play at the Farrell Center. And I said, well, next year they've got to play another Big 12 schedule. He said, yeah, but those other teams will be involved, and we don't know how they're going to line it up. So do you think they're going to make Texas go home and home one more time with Baylor next year and make them go to the Farrell Center, one last time in 24?
Yeah.
Because I would. I'd make them do it again. I'm going to kind of miss it. I know you've got Longhorn connections through work and other things, and then you've got your Waco connections because you got Baylor family and you grew up, for a long time in Waco. So it's a special one to me as a third-party observer. Like, how much are you going to miss Texas and Baylor getting together and, playing stuff?
A lot, because I became a college basketball fan watching Texas play Baylor in the Heart of Texas Coliseum back in the day. Those were the first games. That means nothing to Zay. But Chad, you've been around long enough to know that they once played their college basketball games in a rodeo arena.
Hey,
that's what they did.
The look on Zay's face right there was, I don't know what he just said, but I bet Dusty Rhodes wrestled there. That's what he looked like when you said that.
Not only did Dusty Rhodes wrestle there may have been like a bull riding tournament that day. Yes. They may have done a twofer.
That's
so
right.
Seriously, the first college basketball game that I ever attended would have been Texas and Baylor in the Heart of Texas Coliseum before the Farrell Center was way before it was an idea.
Wow.
So, but I mean, I'm looking forward to Texas and Kentucky.
Sure.
So,
right.
What goes, you know what I mean? Like, I will miss Baylor in Texas, but I won't lose any sleep over it.
Right. No, that's fair. I love watching that hatred as a third party, man. It's a special kind of deal.
I don't think most Texas fans are going to miss Texas and Baylor basketball.
No,
games.
no,
You know
they
why?
won't. No,
Hell no.
I don't think so.
You know,
either.
you do know why, actually.
I was going to say because of the coach at the other bench right now.
Because there's been a lot more losses than wins lately.
That's
so
right.
you're
Yeah.
not going to miss that.
No.
And in general, Texas fans have grown to loathe Baylor. When I was a kid, nobody at Texas cared about Baylor. Baylor somehow turned into loathe over the last couple of decades, and there's a lot that goes into that. Some of it's some pretty dark and dirty things, but some of it just as simple as Baylor's been better than Texas, and Texas fans feel like that should just never be the case, and they're probably right, and yet things are the way they are. So, look, in a lot of ways, Saturdays for the basketball team's big, but it's also big because there won't be many more of these left. And look, as Chad can attest to, like when Texas and Texas A&M finally stopped playing, he's heard a lot about that Justin Tucker kick.
No.
So,
Yep.
so the very last thing in some of these situations turn out mattering a lot. Maybe this one isn't one of those things, but you know what? If you're Texas and you can win, and one of your lasting memories is this huge win that leads to kind of an unfathomable Big 12 championship from just 2 months ago, that would be really cool.
Yeah. Wild stat I saw today. Last time Texas swept Baylor in the regular season in basketball, 2013-2014.
Damn.
It's been that long. To give you a number to what Ketch was just talking about. That's Jeff Ketchum, orangebloods.com, at GKKetch on Twitter if you're trying to get your follows together for that crazy one tomorrow in the barn they call the Farrell Center. Ketch, we always appreciate it, man. You enjoy that. There's not much Texas Baylor left. Thank you for the visit.
I was going to say Sickle Bears, but I don't have that in me.
Oh, come on. It's rude.
I really don't. Like,
rude.
Too many things have happened. I don't care that my dad's famous around there.
No.
I can't say it. Can't do it.
No.
Even though, you know, I was a big Bear guy back in the day, but those days were long ago. A lot of hair back then, not so much now.
Not so much. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Catch.
You guys have a great weekend.
Oh my God! If he'd said Sick'em Bears, I'd have passed out. I might have fallen out of this chair. Texas and Baylor, maybe for the last time at the Farrell Center. Great point by Zay that maybe the schedule won't allow it next year, but I hope they do. I hope they. And Longhorn fans, I know you don't want it to happen, but come on. I think if deserves matters, you got to go to Lubbock one more time. You got to go to Waco one more time. You got to go to Fort Worth one more time.
Ugh.
You got to go one more time around, and then you get to go hang out with Kentucky and Georgia and Sooners and Aggies and all that.
I'll take that. If they say you got to do all those three, but Kansas has one trip to the moon, I'm good with that.
Oh, you don't want to go to Allen.
I do not want to go to Allen.
You'll trade those three
Yes.
for not going to church.
Yes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. I think Longhorn fans might take that swap as well. All right, coming up, why today matters. Today's February 24th. He has a big birthday today. Actually, so does he. That's a GOAT quality guy, too. Tomorrow, there's another GOAT quality guy with a birthday. We'll hit all those next on The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
What is, I feel like somebody's trying to sell me a chicken sandwich. What is happening here? What is going on? Just because I told you this week that I appreciated Old Dirty Bastard for bringing some humor, what are we doing here? Is this like the Weird Al Yankovic of rap? What's happening?
No, don't disrespect Project Pat.
Oh, okay. Project Pat?
Project Pat.
All right. Sorry, Pat. I'm not familiar. What's the song called? Chicken what?
Chicken Head.
Chicken Head. Oh, my God. Project Pat. So this, Chicken Head, there's a high level of respect for this one?
Yeah, huge.
Okay. All right.
Huge.
Is there a dance that goes with it that involves you acting like a chicken? Like, you know, the chicken dance they do at weddings and stuff?
Nah.
No.
Project Pat was really tight with 3 6 Mafia.
Okay.
Juicy J, DJ Paul.
What area are we talking about?
Tennessee. I don't know if he was from Memphis.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure he's from Tennessee.
Gotcha. Okay. Project Pat.
You
Wow.
said it had to do with sandwiches.
No, it's all. That's all. I thought somebody was about to tell me about a sale.
No, he's literally talking about bald-headed women.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Project Pat, Bobby Brown, Pat Benatar, Quiet Riot, and Little River Band. Blackstreet got us started with the beat this hour. If you missed our album swap discussion yesterday, Old Dirty Bastard and Def Leppard, you can check that out on the YouTube page, youtube.com/@thehorn. Austin, thank you for subscribing to the YouTube page. We are headed towards 800 subscribers. Not quite there yet, but thank you to the 752 subscribers that we do have. All right, let's get into a little why today matters. We have big birthdays to hit, and I have to give the Cowboys credit because they didn't do one of my least favorite things. Here we go. All right, we will get to these 3 GOATs with birthdays, but first, let me give the Cowboys a little bit of credit here. I got on him for Tolzien earlier because he's barely been a coach, and I feel like that's what the Cowboys will do. Guys that have played for you, Mark Colombo and Leon Lett and things like that. Maybe there's a little coaching experience, but it doesn't feel like there's a lot. Well, kids, I looked up Mike Solari, the new Cowboys offensive line coach. The joke won't be about that. If it's anything, it's the opposite of that. Mike Solari was a high school coach in the mid-'70s after playing at San Diego State, where Herm Edwards was his teammate. No, I'm not kidding. He ended up in all kinds of coaching jobs through the years. He's been an offensive line coach at a lot of different stops, including tight ends and assistant offensive line coach with the champion Niners of Super Bowl 29. He was with the Cowboys at the very end of Landry's time in Dallas. Recently, Green Bay, the Giants, Seattle, and now the Cowboys. So
he hasn't stopped.
He has not. No, I can't see much time. Let me see. That's a good question.
He has to have a break.
Is there a gap anywhere?
He's had to take away some time from the game.
He went 97 to wow, I can't find it. All right, so let's go through. 89 Cardinals, 90-91 Bama, 92-96 Niners, 97-05 Chiefs, 06-07 Chiefs OC, and then 08-09 Seattle. 2010-2014 Niners, 2015 Packers, 16-17 Giants, 18-21 Seattle Cowboys. So he wasn't around. He didn't coach in 22. That's about all I can see right here. He may take a year where he doesn't have but he's right back at it.
Wow.
This dude is so
talk about wisdom.
Old grizzled offensive line coach Mike McCarthy. I'm going to have to give you this one and not make much fun of you because I'm not one that makes fun of somebody just because they're old. I don't do that. This dude's clearly got experience. I hope it works. I hope this is good news for Cowboys fans. My man has been around.
Yeah.
Good.
And then some. He's seen some serious players, though.
Yeah, he really has. So on that level, then I guess I'll give Mike McCarthy some credit there, and congratulations. So once again, it would be a connection with McCarthy, if I'm timing it right, assistant offensive line coach, Green Bay 2015. That's Mike McCarthy, right?
Yes.
So 1 year in Green Bay was enough to get his attention. And then if we go back, I think he might have been, if I go through the timeline of McCarthy, when McCarthy was an assistant somewhere else, wasn't he in San Francisco before that? He might have been there with him. But anyway, there's clearly some relationships from the past. So instead of Jerry playing off of his relationships, Cowboy-wise, it feels like maybe McCarthy's playing off of his relationships. That's kind of the way you're supposed to do it, right, Zay? The head coach and his relationships?
Yeah. That's
So-
what you would like.
Okay.
But, I guess Jerry and Coach could go play some pinochle together and do some things.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to say this. Jerry would still call him a youngster. Jerry's 80. And he's 68, but still, he's been around a while. All right, let's get to these GOATs. I'll argue all three of these guys could be called the GOAT. Today is Phil Knight's 85th birthday. They're about to throw that movie out. You going to go see this thing, the Air movie?
Yeah, I got to see it. Viola Davis playing Jordan's mom.
How about that?
That's big time.
If you're Jordan's mother, Phil Knight, and Sonny Vaccaro, do you enjoy who's playing you in this movie?
Matt Damon looks nothing like Sonny Vaccaro.
He looks no.
That's one of the worst ones I've ever seen. I know Matt Damon's a good actor, but that's gonna be real difficult for me to lock into. And then Ben Affleck's Phil Knight, that doesn't look too good either.
I've tried to figure out how that works. I've tried to squint to see if I can make that work. I haven't quite made
Take
that
a couple
work yet.
shots of whatever you like taking a couple shots of, and then see.
I'm not
Because
sure.
that might be what Hollywood saw.
Not sure if that one's going to work.
It's a good story, though.
Another GOAT candidate, Zay, would be Floyd Mayweather Jr. He is 46 years old today. Boxing fans would tell you he is certainly one of the badasses. I don't know if he's the best I've ever seen, but and sometimes they didn't get the right fights with him and things like that. But, man, his ability to not get hit is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in boxing. And he's also a boxer that I think really benefited from slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
You had to see between rounds sort of what you missed because he was so good at not getting hit. And then you're like, oh, my God, Floyd punched that guy 5 times in the face, and I didn't even realize it.
One of my favorite fights of his was when he fought Canelo. The dodging and ducking and bobbing and weaving that he put on that night, I don't think we'll ever see anything like it. And yeah, Chad, he might not be the best boxer of all time, but he might be the best defensive boxer of all time.
Yeah.
Like, it's just incredible. I remember being around 16 years old, playing select basketball. We're up in Vegas. We're chilling on some downtime. We're at Caesar's Palace. Caesar's, they have all like the mall and stuff within the hotel and stuff. So we're walking around. We're towards the Cheesecake Factory area. And I see like 4 big-ass bodyguard type dudes coming around. I'm like, oh, who's this? Who's this?
Here we go.
And I see Floyd's tiny ass like pop up behind them. And
TMT.
I go crazy. Again, this is like 07, 08. So
Okay.
Floyd was really the man then.
Sure.
And got to take pictures with him and everything.
Did you really?
Yep.
That's
Still
awesome.
got the picture. Ask Floyd, Floyd, bruh. Which it was a pretty ignorant question by teenage Zay back then. It makes sense now, but it's like, Floyd, you the best in the world, bro. What you need all these bodyguards for? And he looked at me like I was nuts. He was like, do you need the picture or not?
Yeah, right. Come on, dude.
Yeah, just take the picture. I'm going to be on my way. But he really didn't answer. He was like, come on, man. Like, you serious? I was like, what? You're the best in the world.
You should have said, "'cause I can." That's why.
But it was dope, man. It was dope.
That's fantastic. Yeah, happy birthday to Floyd today. And then tomorrow will be Ric Flair's 74th birthday. So shout out to that guy who many would consider the greatest of all time in his realm. Ric Flair, 74, the Nature Boy.
Yeah. Damn you, Ric Flair, for having my brother do the figure 4 leg lock on me as a child.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Did he rip
Other than that,
did he
love
rip-
Ric Flair.
Did he rip the leg up at all, or was it just annoying?
Just annoying.
Okay. He didn't like really lock it on you, did he?
Really lock
Okay,
it
good.
on.
He didn't tear some meniscus
I
out,
don't
did he?
think he even did it right, but Ric Flair was his guy, though.
Yeah, you can definitely hurt somebody with that thing if you're messing around too much with it. Keep that to the professionals. Let the professionals deal with that. Happy birthday to Rick tomorrow. Also tomorrow for you Beatles freaks. I was raised a Beatles fan by my dad. George Harrison would have been 80 years old tomorrow. Died back in 2001. All right, on this February 24th, we'll also remind you, Longhorn fans, Texas spring practice starts starts in 10 days. How about that? Spring game is only 50 days away, and you're 190 days away from that opening game. Football never dies around here, and we'll keep the countdown going for you. We will get through it together. Up next, stems and seeds. Lots of stuff out there, including that full list of the Cowboys' new coaching staff, including this offensive line coach that, yeah, he's been in a meeting room or two. This is The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right, just about done on a Friday. Zay, do I have any shot at this?
Nah, maybe when we get into some more reviews down the line toward the
Okay.
summer,
I
we'll
might-
get to the group, but this is just one of the individuals
Oh, okay.
out of the group.
So I might, that's going to make it extra challenging. All right, who is it?
Styles P
Styles P.
from
all
the
right.
Locks.
From the Locks.
Yeah, the Locks has Jadakiss and Sheik Luke in it. Pretty iconic group. Especially recently. They did during COVID, you know, those verses that they had where like rappers would perform all their hits in like one room.
Oh, yeah.
Because we couldn't be around each other.
Sure.
The Locks did one versus Dipset, which has like Jim Jones, who we played this week, and
Mhm.
Cameron and stuff. And it felt like 8 Mile.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
rap battle-ish.
Uh-huh.
It felt like that. And Jadakiss put on a show that most likely like put him in that Billboard Top 50.
Interesting. Okay.
Like I think if they didn't do that versus, nobody would give Jadakiss the credit that he deserves. Now, do I think that credit went overboard with the verses, like that Billboard 50? Like
Yeah.
Jadakiss doesn't deserve to be on that 50.
Yeah. Well, it's because
doesn't.
it's because everybody had nothing to do and they were watching.
Exactly.
Everybody saw
Everybody
it.
was what they had at like Madison Square Garden. It was one of the most iconic things in hip hop. But yeah, the Locks, they killed Dipset that night, and a lot of it was because of Jadakiss. But yeah, that's Styles P. I Get High, his classic song. Yeah.
Oh,
it's a
okay.
jam.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, we all can't be there. Where is he now? Oh, he's in the hallway at the Garden. You didn't know that? Yeah, it's great. That's fantastic. All right, so Styles P finishing it off today. We had Project Pat, we had Bobby Brown, we had Pat Benatar, Quiet Riot, Little River Band all on the show today. The Blackstreet Beat to get this hour started. We've also got one of our listeners giving us a very important piece of information off of something we talked about today. Let's start there with stems and seeds. We'll hit NFL as well. Here we go.
No stress, no seeds, no stems, no sticks.
Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. Shout out to Bill, one of our listeners, who points out that Baylor has a new arena on the way. It opens maybe at the end of this year, which means even if Texas goes back to Waco one more time, it might be in the new house. So this very much is the last time at the Farrell Center if everything goes to plan.
Okay.
Just
That's dope.
So this is the last one.
Okay. I'm with that. Now, I want to go next year. I hope the Horns got to go to Waco next year because I want to see that new arena.
We all know what that new football stadium was like.
Yeah.
Everybody loves that place.
Oh, it's beautiful. Driving up 35, you're trying to go to Dallas or something. You can't miss it. It is beautiful. But yeah, about time, Baylor, because Farrell Center, which I can't say much. We had the Irwin Center for however long. But Farrell Center's trash. It is. Sorry.
You think the Baylor folks will be happy when they implode that thing if they get rid of it?
Oh, yeah.
Cowboys fans, we do have the full list of the coaching staff in 2023. Interesting contrast. For quarterbacks coach, it's Scott Tolzien, who does not have a lot of experience at all. Started in 2019 as a coach, but I just checked the offensive line coach's resume, and it is long. He goes all the way back to the 70s in high school. He was at the end of the Landry era with the Cowboys. Mike Solari. His name is Solari because he might have been named after the son. No, he's not that old. He's 68. I'm actually excited about it, Zay. He's an old veteran, offensive line coach. And I like those. I like those kind of guys that can deal with the line of scrimmage the way they need to. This offensive line is changing, morphing, getting older. It feels like they're, hurt all the time, and a couple of these guys are moving on too. So Coach Solari needs to use all his experience coming up.
Yeah, that's a ton of experience that you just put out there, Chad. And you need a little mixture of both. You need some of those young guys that are relatable, but you need some of that old veteran wisdom, been there, done that type of guys that could give you game that somebody experienced like this coach. So, yeah, it's a good move, but You got to see what happens on the field.
All right, NFL. Let's say the NFL, and on the young side of things, you see that Aaron Glenn got a re-up with the Lions as DC?
No.
That was interesting to me. I wonder – I don't know if that defense hasn't struck me as, like, badass yet. And so I just don't know. Like, as an Aggie, I'd love Aaron Glenn. I love the fact that he's got the gig, and I was glad to hear it. But as an NFL fan, I'm just thinking, have they been that good?
I mean, Aiden Hutchinson was really good. This was the first year they had, what's his name, Okunze, or my man, the cornerback that went to Ohio State that's there. He's been hurt a lot. This was his first full year healthy, and he was really good this season. So they were right there. Like, they got the Packers out the playoffs. They were really close to making it. Just didn't happen.
Yeah, he got the love there. Congrats to Aaron Glenn for that. All right, everybody have a great weekend. Longhorn baseball in Indiana, 6:30 start tonight.